Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
It is another Monday. New episode of Baseball is Dead. We got a lot to get into. I know we did the Shohei Ohtani surprise emergency drop on, what was that, Saturday night?
Saturday.
A lot of you probably took that in yesterday on Sunday. Thanks for listening to that. I saw people were very excited about that episode. Happy that you guys are excited about that. But today, we will be getting to the Juan Soto trade. I know that it feels like forever ago at this point. I know people in the Reddit are calling for 2 episodes a week for the offseason. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about it. Did we do that last offseason? Did we do 2 episodes? No? Why are people acting like we did that and like we took it from them?
It was never a thing.
I think you should look at it as a compliment that people were so satisfied with what we delivered them during the 23 regular season and postseason that they just feel like they want more. We left them wanting more.
And it's also because we'll pump out a 3-hour Johnson about nothing or with nothing to actually talk about, but somehow be able to put it together. And so then they find themselves starting and they're like, okay, well, we'll stop. I'll pick this back up. So it feels like 2 episodes, but it wasn't. Yeah. It's probably just a real girthy one.
Yeah, that makes sense. I got confused. I thought I was like, wow, are we fucking slacking? Like, did we do 2 episodes a week during the offseason last year and we're just like boning them with 1 this year? I don't know. So whatever. Well, we can discuss it. I don't know. As long as I feel better knowing that we didn't do it last year and that we like took it away from them. But we didn't get to talk about Juan Soto, so we'll dive into that. Jayhay with the 1952 MVP race later on.
Yeah.
There was
it's a household name MVP race.
Yeah, it is. What is it? It's Johnny Blumpkin. What? Who is it?
Yeah, Johnny Blumpkin and 3 Fingers Brown.
Yeah. We got that MVP
It's the one
race.
Had the opium dens up in a roar, pissed off back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Also, it is the Dodgers Mount Rushmore today.
Yes,
Dodgers Mount Rushmore. Just making sure I did the right one. There's going to be some controversy. I'm just going to let you know. Right
there is. There's going to be
some controversy. I'm just putting that right out there to start.
That feels like it's a list that it could honestly start with you only having maybe one option to have to. Right, you got 1 slot. You got one slot.
I'm telling you right now, Dallas.
But there's so many names.
There's 0 slots for me. Like it was such a no-brainer. I just went bang, 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 done. That's probably the least amount of time that I took on a Mount Rushmore in at least in the baseball is dead era.
So you didn't care much about
No comment. Yeah. I'm not saying anything. I'm not saying anything until we get to that segment, but I'm going to just no comment my way there. Yesterday morning when I woke up, saw a lot of conspiracy theories about the Toronto Blue Jays being played. And I'm just going to preface this by saying, I just want to hear the theories. I don't have an opinion on the matter. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't have a horse in this race. I just saw a lot of people up in Toronto that were talking about this. And I'm just curious about the fallout. Like, how is Blue Jays Twitter, how is Blue Jays Nation doing after being told pretty much like it's in the bag? Like, you have Shohei Ohtani, and the next thing you know, he's a Dodger. I just want to check in on my friends up north. So we have 2 people who we referenced before, Jordan Cicchelli, who I believe we were talking about like the idea of like Top Golf for baseball, and then people were like, that's just the batting cages. Like we've had this debate with her before, so we can even hit on that. And then Johnny G, he's basically just like the top Blue Jays podcaster up north. So we're gonna talk to our friends up north. But before any of that happens, because we haven't talked about the Juan Soto trade, there is someone that I did want to talk to today.
Hello.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
This is uncomfortable.
Happy birthday, dear my best friend, Hubs. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you, Jared. That was very nice for you.
The Yankees lose.
The New York Yankees traded for Juan Soto, Eric Hubs.
They did.
Yeah.
That did happen.
Yep.
It was a great move.
Yeah, no, anytime you can go out and trade for a Juan Soto, I feel like you got to do it. Like
I think it's the move.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like that's one of those things you just gotta explore it. Take me through the roller coaster of emotions as a deal that was stalling and falling apart, and then the Blue Jays got involved, and Brian Cashman's taking naps on the streets of Manhattan. Like, did you think that this was a done deal in the days leading up, or had you given up on this as a possibility?
No, so I finally found a room in the Barstool office. They were a little busy today. Now I have some room to talk.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was done, and then the medical thing, started to trickle out, and that's when I got nervous because Michael King's elbow is not exactly the cleanest thing in the world. He basically avoided getting surgery on it. That would have cost him like half of last year. He ended up coming through it great. So, but you never know like how that looks on the medical sphere and all that. So that really troubled me. And then, Morosi tweets that and then nothing else. And then we started Martino, who is fairly unreliable, but he's been pretty good lately. And he said there's nothing as close to being done here. So there was like 3 hours where I contemplated my whole life falling apart. But then once it got done, it was great. I'm very happy they did it before Shohei because I think if a Shohei signed and then Soto was still out there, Toronto would have gone nuts for him. Not to say they could have probably matched the package or like wanted to, but they definitely would have like the intent to and would have gone nuts. So I didn't need that. The fact that the Yankees really were the only team like in this, even though they did say there was 3 finalists, that was easier to like, okay, this is actually going to happen. They really want one. And they went and got him.
So what does this mean now? Like, are the Yankees now moved up to the 3rd best team in the division? I'm asking. I'm genuinely asking. I don't think that it makes you that much better.
I think it does. How does adding Juan Soto make you not much better?
Because you went from like a 220 hitting team to like a 225 hitting team.
Yeah. No. I mean, like I said in my blog, like he's not a one fix all. Like he went to the Padres and they missed the playoffs this year. Like it's baseball. It's
right.
It's a fucked up like crazy sport. Like
and I'm sure that I didn't read your blog. I'm sorry. I don't really read it anymore. It's very hard.
You can't really. Yeah, you can't. Read
I know.
You always had the reading issues with like the ads.
Yeah. So. I'm not a big read words guy.
It's not.
But I mean, trading for Alex for putting this is actually this is my new take. I just developed it right now. Trading for Alex Verdugo may have cost the Yankees the playoffs because now you have Verdugo in left, Soto in right, which forces Judge to center, which is going to be more taxing for like Aaron Judge is probably going to go down at some point this season, and that's going to cost you the playoffs because you went out and traded for Juan Soto and had to put Alex Verdugo in left field. So you're making Aaron Judge play center field, which it's just not, it doesn't bode well for a guy his size.
So here's my counter to that. And before they even traded for Soto, the defensive alignment with him was always going to be a problem because you can't put the guy in left field no matter what. It's the hardest left field like to play. It's ginormous. Many have tried, many have failed. Joey Gallo, Gold Glove outfielder, could not play left field there. Like it's just, Brett Gardner's like the only fucking guy who ever figured it out, like in the last 10 or 15 years. Soto was always, I think, going to be the right fielder. In a perfect world, Giancarlo Stanton doesn't exist, and he's the DH. Mm-hmm. Stanton still does. Now, hopefully, in the long run, they sign him to an extension, and he becomes your DH in a few years because he's I think 3rd worst statistic defensive outfielder in the whole game. It's very bad. Mm-hmm. I don't think Verdugo coming over had anything to do with it. Like, I think no matter what, he was going to be the right fielder. Like, where else were you going to play? Like, Soto was never going to be the left fielder. he was obviously never going to be the center fielder. I think he was always going to play in right, and Judge was going to be in center. Now, when Dominguez comes back, then I don't really know what you do. I don't think they're going to be married to like playing Verdugo every day. Like if Dominguez is back and like fully good to go and looking like he did to end the year, and like the future center fielder, left fielder, whatever. I don't really know what you do with the Judge Soto thing. Then it becomes much more hairy. But I think no matter what, even if they didn't get Verdugo, they were always going to get two outfielders. Cheaper one and then Soto. And that guy was always going to play left. And Soto was going to be right. So I hear what you're saying. and don't get me wrong, playing Judge in center is terrifying. Not because he can't handle it. He's a great, I think he plays it perfectly fine. It's just
where does Trent Grisham end up in all this?
Well, he takes over when
I didn't even know you were on the call, Dallas.
Everybody's here. Everybody's here.
Oh, I didn't. Okay, you only sang "Happy Birthday" and it was only you singing, so I didn't.
Well,
know.
No one else likes you on this show.
That's fair.
Yeah, I was going to say. I thought it was just way funnier to have Jared sing.
It's very sad.
It was way funnier to have Jared do it by himself, but I don't dislike you. That doesn't represent me.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Apology. Trent Grisham. Here's the thing. Trent Grisham is the fifth outfielder for this team right now. Fourth outfielder, and he's going to come in for defense situations where he's one of the best center fielders in the game.
Defensively, he's the best outfielder you got.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Judge is a great right fielder, but Grisham is special in center. The way he moves, everything he does is just like next level. This is a lot better than throwing out Jake Bauers, a first baseman in left field, and fucking Billy McKinney and Franchi Cordero. So the problem of we're talking about who's going to play, how much playing time these guys get. Great. I actually have real center fielders on my team. I have real outfielders that can play the position. That's nice. Like Alex Verdugo, Jared, as you can attest, pretty good outfielder, right? Defensively, not in center.
Yeah, he was literally the second best defender on the Red Sox last year.
That's nice. I have that type of guy now. Trent Grisham coming off the bench to play defense at the later innings. Lockdown in center field. Aaron Judge, very good right fielder, obviously. Solid enough in center field to get the job done until, we figure everything else out with Dominguez. Soto is a problem. We're going to hide him in right field, just like they tried to do with Stanton for a little bit. Hopefully he doesn't lose in some games, but the idea, obviously, is that his bat adds a different aspect here than we've been having in the last few years. We can actually protect an Aaron Judge or whatever they want to do, whoever's going to hit 2 and who's going to hit 3. But no matter what, across the board, this is a move that you had to make. You had to give some pitching, okay? Hopefully they're going to be able, like they did with Michael King, develop another guy and turn them into like a Michael King. I think it's like the one thing I can count them on right now is to develop some arms. They can't develop hitters. I don't really have any faith in that. Yeah. But like the one thing they've kind of proven over the last few years is, hey, like their minor league development, like people want their pitchers. Waldichuk goes to Oakland. Like people want those guys. So I think you just got to put your trust that like they can continue to do that. And you bite the bullet. Michael King, I think is going to be really fucking good for San Diego. As long as he stays healthy, like he's got all the tools to be like a frontline guy. And Drew Thorpe just won minor league pitcher of the year. It was a haul, but like it was the move they had to make. They needed a superstar outfielder, a superstar hitter to pair with Judge's bat. And then hopefully, Rizzo without a concussion is a little bit, 800 OPS guy. That'd be nice. Glaber coming off a really good year. Keep that going. And yeah, hopefully Volpe figures out how to hit the ball. That'd be nice.
He's not.
Are you concerned? Are you concerned with the Yankees' ability to court Juan Soto during this season? Let's say, for just all things being equal, it ends up an 81-81 type situation, and you think you have an idea what the future can look like. Are you worried about your ability to court Juan Soto? Does this have to be a postseason or bust sort of effort to think or even give yourself any hope that Juan Soto wants to tattoo the pinstripes on?
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's the scariest thing about trading for a Boris guy. Like, you're not getting an extension here. It would be beyond shocking to me if we ever got a Jeff Passan alert that they just extended him midseason. I don't see that happening. Yeah, you got to hope that you have him for the year. That gets you the inside track. And I would assume you're making this kind of deal, and Cashman can say whatever he wants to the media, but you're making this kind of deal assuming you're going to load up the Brinks truck in front of Soto's house and give him what he wants. Like, you just, They gave up some serious pitching that I know they definitely didn't want to trade both those guys together, and they did it. You got some money coming off the books. I think they're going to be able to get this done. There's no assurances though with Boris. Now the Yankees have a good relationship with Boris, which is nice. But at the end of the day, they just got to pay him the top dollar and hope that this was a good year. I think he's going to love New York. It seems like a guy that will fit well here. We've said that before and it's not worked out, but I like their chances.
That's why I wonder about the courtship process and what that looks like, because Hubs, if you can identify that they've given a lot up and would be best served being able to keep Soto in-house, you have to believe that Scott Boras knows that because they gave up what they gave up, that they have the ball in their court, and they're going to be looking at the New York Yankees going, buddy, I don't know if you have a memo line long enough to write on this fucking check, okay? I just don't know that exists. So while that might be something that gives you hope, it could also be something, if you're looking at this outside of the New York Yankee forest, that might give you pause and think, oh shit, did he just chop down every tree in the forest and put up a sawmill? Like, oh man, what's going on?
No, dude, like that's going to be a fear. Like with the board, like no one recognizes leverage and takes advantage of it more than the Scott Boras. Like he's very, very, very good at his job, arguably the best. That being said, like no matter what, the first goal here was 2024 because Aaron Judge is getting older by the day. So is Garrett Cole. Their primes will not last forever. What, 3-4 more years? If we're, that would be great.
Two at
best,
in my opinion.
Okay, whatever. Yeah, says the guy who thought Garrett Cole was done as a pitcher a few years ago.
I mean, he's not good.
Okay.
It was a weak Cy Young class.
But what I'm saying, sorry to cut you off, but the one thing I'm saying is like they need to maximize those windows as much as you can. Getting Juan Soto, no matter how long it's for, like we have Juan Soto on the team in 2024. They're doing what they can. They're doing the most they can to make sure they can win the World Series in 2024. I appreciate that kind of like urgency. It's urgency they haven't shown in the last 3 or 4 years. Like you just have to fucking make this deal, and you worry about the extension when the extension comes up.
The tone of this conversation is all wrong, in my opinion. It's all wrong. We're focusing on all the things that could possibly go wrong with the Yankees acquiring Juan Soto and why such and such dickhead needs to play left field and and Judge is going to have to play center field, which he fucking plays all the time over the last couple of years. Like he played it. I looked it up. He played 77 games in center field the year he won the MVP. So not chalk it up as not too concerned about that. Guys, it's Juan Soto. Jared, I'm going to go back to your point that was made how many ever minutes ago that you don't think the Yankees are that much better after having acquired Juan Soto and then in parentheses Verdugo as well. Mm-hmm. I completely disagree with that.
That's fine.
I think the Yankees are much better having acquired both of these players to the point that Hubs got to, which is that not only are they great players, they're replacing the likes of like Jake Bauers, who sucks.
I don't know that I would describe Alex Verdugo as a great player.
No.
Average player.
No, Juan Soto is a great player.
Juan Soto is a great player.
Juan Soto or Alex Verdugo is exactly what you said, an average player. He's replacing people who were not average. The Yankees went 82-80 last year, and I think we're all on the same page, whether you're a Yankees fan on this call or not, that most of the things that could have gone wrong for them outside of Garrett Cole went wrong last season, and I expect that more to go right. And I think I've been pretty consistent on this podcast that I think the Yankees are very much in play for the division, and that was before signing Juan Soto. There's almost no, like, the Orioles are probably not winning 101 games again. The Rays probably are not winning 99 games again. The Jays are probably an 89-win team now that they did not get Ohtani. Like, to me, if we're all together that Juan Soto is a 5-6 win player on a standard Juan Soto season, then to me, it's really easy to get the math in a place where the Yankees are extremely competitive, not only for the postseason, but potentially for the division as well. And it's Juan Soto, who is a singularly great player, a singularly great offensive talent within the game and the context of history at his age, having done what he's done up until this point. And I think concerns over fit or where the DH at bats are going to be parsed, or how Giancarlo Stanton fits into this are so secondary. And I hear Dallas's point about the leverage that Boris and Soto now have on the Yankees, having given up the package of players that they did. But I think there was already a reasonably limited market for Juan Soto in terms of number of suitors, and the Yankees were going to be at or near the front of that line anyway. So to me, getting him in the door for 24, given how important this season is worth the risk that he uses you for additional leverage. I think this is a home run trade for the Yankees.
Well, and Hubs, you made the point that, they needed now they have somebody to protect Judge. And that can really only happen if there's somebody to sort of protect Juan Soto. And I know you can kind of start to play that game down the whole lineup, but I think you understand what I'm getting at is Soto's presence absolutely forces you to have to make decisions with Judge. That becomes a real thing if Gleyber continues to do what he did or picks up what he did coming off of last year. If Verdugo is just a serviceable talent, right? If LeMahieu kicks it up, I'm not going to put the entire offense. I think that's unfair and completely unreasonable to do so. But we're going to need to see Volpe show he has to bring his bat to Yankee Stadium this year. He has to bring his bat to the ballpark this year, Hubs. It has to happen.
Yeah, I think, I 100% agree. And in the long run, I don't think right now he's your leadoff guy. Like, not right now. You cannot put that pressure back on him. I don't think it's just going to work right now. But when his back comes around and he starts to get on base more, he's your perfect leadoff guy. Right now, you probably go DJ. Maybe they go Rizzo. I don't know. They were toying with that a little bit. But to me, what you're saying is Rizzo needs to have a year. Like an 800 OPS season must be in the cards for Rizzo. Get this concussion. Hopefully it's out of the way. I think they even said if the games mattered, he would have probably came back in September. That's he cleared it. That's the type of guy in the lineup, along with Gleyber, that you need to, hit after those guys to really put some fear in other guys. Because, at the end of the day, you can just walk them. And if no one else is going to take advantage, then what's it for? But there are pieces there to make it very scary if they come around and keep doing what they've been doing.
Anthony Rizzo, if you get Anthony Rizzo to show up and start swinging it, and he gets back to being just a median type of player that he can be at this point, dude. Now that provides you, and you're able to find Stanton and that bat in there. Now you're able to, the right, left. That whole thing starts to become a tool for Booney to use. It changes the entire complexion of this lineup, and that's why I think I get it. I think we need some of those guys that we've just touched on though to continue to perform if the presence of Soto is going to be what I think you Yankee fans want it to be. And I think baseball fans in general would really enjoy a Juan Soto showing up in the Big Apple and pounding fucking 40. That'd be fun. Yep. That'd be fun to see.
I know my friend Jared would love it. Jared would be ecstatic. I can hear it in his voice.
Listen, I think Juan Soto is such a Yankee. There's nothing about it. Well, I'm trying to think of when Gary Sheffield went to the Yankees, I was pissed. I was like, Gary Sheffield's not a Yankee. You made Gary Sheffield not cool. But Juan Soto, he's a Yankee. He looks like one. He acts
A-Rod.
like one.
When you saw A-Rod, you thought Yankee.
Yeah, because he's a dork, and Yankees are dorks. You have to shave your fucking face, and you have to act professional. That's exactly what A-Rod wants to do.
And that's what Juan Soto does.
When did Juan Soto become? When did
grabbing his crotch?
Yeah, when did Juan Soto become uncool?
I didn't say Juan Soto became uncool. I just said he looks like a Yankee. Shaves his face.
Yankees are cool?
Huh?
You don't get to call Yankees uncool and talk all the shit that you just did about a Yankee.
I'm not wrong. A-Rod is a dork. He shaves his face always.
We're not talking about that. Jayhay asked you a pointed question, and you're ducking it.
What's the question?
I don't have facial hair.
No, I thought the implication is that because Juan Soto is very much a Yankee in your mind, that he is in line with the previous people who were Yankees.
No, he's not. No.
But I've always been under the impression that people thought Juan Soto and the shuffle and the crotch grabbing and his,
he doesn't really do that
flair.
He started to tone it down because he knew he was a Yankee.
Yeah.
No.
Yes.
Yes, I think this is fantastic for baseball. I hated how the Yankees did this when I was growing up, and then when they stopped doing it, I realized that I missed that they did it. And I think it's better for baseball overall.
Yourself a little bit. the amount, we've all seen the charts of the payroll staying where it was, and then the revenue is like 10 times what it was 15 years ago. It's like, you have the money to spend, go spend it. Like, good on hell.
But it's just different now. It's different to like Jayhay's point about like the Empire's back, baby. It's like, yes, but
might be.
But other teams now have, like, the Dodgers just gave $700 million to Shohei Ohtani. Like, you have
it's never going to be the same.
Yeah, like, it's like there was a point in time where the Yankees could just bully Major League Baseball and be like, like, we want this player so bad, like, we can spend so much more than the next best team to ensure that we get the guy. That it's never going to be like that again. But to what Jayhay was saying, like, we are, like, the Yankees need stars. Like, that is the Yankees. Like, now you have Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Garrett Cole all on the same team.
I can remember a time where Yamamoto would have already been throwing bullpens in Yankee Stadium after the Ohtani news.
No question.
Like, it's a done deal.
Well,
it's a
we're
done
not going to rush.
deal.
We're not going to rush Yamamoto. We're going to let him make his decision nice and easy. We're going to meet him today, get him to sign the
nobody's in a hurry to lock up a fucking 3-time Cy Lamora winner. No, nobody's in a hurry for that. You don't have any need for that.
We're in a hurry, but I'm not pressuring him. You make your decision when you want to. Can't wait to welcome you to the open arms because he's going to be mine.
I want to go back to the Verdugo thing too, because I don't want to make it seem like I was overstating what type of player he is, because Jared's right. He is an average baseball player, but the reason that he works so well for this roster and this team, in contrast to the team that he left, is that the problem with yes, for sure.
Defensive
and also,
serviceability.
Yes, but that works in any that would work in any. But what I'm saying is that, like, the problem with the Red Sox, so to speak, offensively, is that they had lots of good players and basically no great players, at least great players performing that way last season. The Yankees' problem was the exact opposite. They have individually great players, particularly now with Juan Soto out of the mix. What they lacked last season was competent league average players. They had an unacceptable number of people soaking up like 250 plus plate appearances who were below league average or like replacement level or worse. Like, just 1,000 plate appearances wasted on just utter dreck that had no business being in the Yankees lineup. And Verdugo addresses that, if nothing else. If he's just a 2-win player, which is a pretty reasonable bar for Alex Verdugo, that's an important piece of, like, their series of transactions too.
Yeah, the amount of pressure they were putting on a Harrison Bader to be more than he was. Harrison Bader doesn't have a bat. He's a great fielder. He gets hurt a lot.
Well, at least that was a good trade, though.
Yeah. No, I never understood it from the start. I can't believe they didn't have a pitcher trade lined up. I mean, you want to believe the Marlins and all that with Lopez, whatever. That trade never made sense from the beginning. But they wanted Harrison Bader to be a 260 guy who can have sit in the 700s OPS or whatever. And he's just not the type of guy. Or even, I don't even know what expectations they had for him, but that's just not what that guy is. And they had too many guys trying to play above board. Jake Bauers got hot for a few weeks, and they were like, hey, maybe this is the guy. Let's keep sticking him out there. And then before you know it, like Jay said, he's got 250 at bats. It's like, what's happening here? Billy McKinney, Franchi Cordero playing as much as just dumb. So, yeah, it's nice to have a real baseball player, be a league average. What?
You were trotting players out there that couldn't get a job in Major League Baseball within 6 months.
Dude, it was crazy. It was insane. And then they would have these guys pinch hit like late in games. Like, what the fuck is this going to do? Yeah. Like, there was one game, I can't remember specifically, but Franchi pinch hit, and he just struck out on 3 pitchers. And it was just like, well, what the fuck was that? Like, why are we doing? They're just forcing moves that made no sense whatsoever. So yeah, having a league average bat who doesn't strike out a lot, who's a lefty, and can play defense, has a role on this team in this lineup, no doubt about it. He's not someone I'm jumping for joy from, and I'm honestly, I don't even like the way that it all ended in Boston scares me. But maybe because you guys stopped competing and winning games, like his mentality broke a little bit, and maybe a change of scenery. And I think it is a contract year for him. I think it's his final year of control. All those are motivational factors that should play into his uptick in production. So I'm banking on that. Just play some defense and hit league average. I'm really not asking for a whole lot.
What's your confidence level in the Yankees being able to sign Yamamoto? And before you answer that question, I just want to say this. Like, you've got Steve Cohen Brian Cashman's flying to fucking Japan. Steve Cohen's going out of his way to meet with Yamamoto. I just saw a picture of John Henry just partying it up in Miami right now. Like, there is no fucking chance the Red Sox sign this guy. None. Like all these other teams are going so above and beyond to like court him and suck his dick into coming and signing with their team.
Yeah.
John Henry is in Miami like, fucking yeah, dude. Woo! Like there's no chance he's coming to Boston. The Red Sox are going to fucking
we had a
suck
rep
again.
we had a rep at every single one of his starts last year.
I don't even think
I
John
don't-
Henry knows who he is.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was just talking with Fights on radio, where like in 2015, Henry raised ticket prices or whatever, but he backed it up by saying like they're in the market for, if there's a big name superstar out there, we're there. And like, could you imagine? Like, it's just hard to imagine that type of guy now because they're nowhere near these people.
No. It's
Very sad.
It's
Very sad.
It's,
honest to God, and I hate the Red Sox more than anything. And I hope we lose 162 games, but there is something a little sad about. And listen, when the Yankees and Red Sox play, they're always close somehow, no matter what. Like these games, just all whatever. And whether you're throwing out there, the games in Fenway
This
will
is
be
so
razor
fucking
tight.
sad.
it is sad.
This is so sad listening to
but
you
it-
two.
but, like,
Oh,
there's something about
it
the
used to be
Yankees
so
adding a
much
Juan
better.
Soto.
It was so much better when you were good. I know, Hobbs. I know it was so much better when we were good. Fuck, I know. I don't know. We're not competitive. I
You'll have
don't know.
to excuse my
We
friend
had a
Dallas.
tournament.
He's
The fucking
lost his
quits are
mind having to-
quibbling.
It's almost like
Christ.
the Stanford prison experiment. Like, all right, we're gonna do a study on the human mind. What happens when you have to watch 162 Oakland A's baseball games
That's fair.
in a 112 loss season?
Dude, we should no one could I guess we could have foreseen what just happened with Oakland, but we should have like done like a brain scan on Dallas and like then and now and just see what changed.
I don't put it this way: if we were gonna do a brain scan on the human mind for having to sit through that season, I don't know that I would have chosen Dallas as the subject. Like, his brain is already compromised.
Okay, that's a fair point.
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But what I was kind of saying is, we add Soto. If you add a star, like, I don't know, just give the rivalry a little bit of a jolt here. You guys doing nothing. Like, maybe you sign Jordan Montgomery.
We got Tyler
Maybe.
O'Neill.
Tyler O'Neill, right? I forgot about Tyler O'Neill, who is like 100% on steroids, and they just have never caught him. But like, I just look at that guy and like, come on, like, are we just not testing anymore? Like, good for him. But
People can get muscle without taking steroids.
you asked, well, you wouldn't know that. You asked your question about Yamamoto.
Mm-hmm.
There are people in on obviously the Dodgers have said they're still in. Steve Cohen is very much in.
Yeah.
The Yankees are flying to meet him today. Maybe Toronto's in on him too. They're going to try and get everyone, I guess, and get no one. But
Yeah.
confidence level. When the Yankees want someone really bad and they make it this painfully obvious, most of the time they do get them. At times when they had no interest in Corey Seager, so obviously that way they didn't even meet with Bryce Harper, of course. So they didn't get those guys. When they were so interested in Cole, they were so they wanted to bring back Judge. They get those guys, and you get the same vibe here with Yamamoto, and it's honestly crazy to me. Obviously, he's 25 years old, and you never really. It may have been one of you guys tweeting this, maybe not, but like you never see this out of a free agent pitcher being this young, this decorated, this talented, and being on the open market. Like when usually a guy comes on when he's 21, he's not available till he's 27 or even older than that before he's this established and this wanted. So it's kind of like an anomaly to see a pitcher of this caliber on the market, and I think they recognize that. I think Rodon is such a fucking shit show disaster that he's forced their hand to be like, hey, you got to get Cole number 2 here, a real number 2, especially trading a Michael King. So I think they're all in here. What the ending number ends up being is honestly it's a little scary to me because at the end of the day, he's a guy who's never pitched in the majors before. The Japanese league has really gotten to a level, it feels like, where anyone they produce comes through here and really settles in. And Senga, even Yoshida, obviously Ohtani, but like now it feels like it's not as much hit or miss as it used to be. And now guys just produce. So I think they recognize that and they see it's not going to cost a player and it's just going to be money. And they're going to be very in on this. So I don't know if you're going to be 1 to 10, like 7.5. I feel like 7.5 is where I'm at here.
I think Heyman, not that he knows shit about shit, but he tweeted today it could get to 300 million.
Well, this is a move that they're going to have to make too, Hubs. They're going to have to make if there is any interest in locking Juan Soto up for the foreseeable future after 24, you going and committing to Yamamoto, that right there shows that you are in this to win this, and that the offers that you'll be bringing to the table in 24 are serious, and that's going to give him some serious thought, some serious interest, and that's just based on where the Yankees are coming from, because again, he's going to be fielding offers more than likely from 10 plus other teams that have that kind of money and are willing to make that kind of commitment. So with that being said, if the Yankees are genuinely, because right now the Yankees are just not in a position to be able to send that sup text at 2:30 in the morning. The Yankees have to take you and your friends out, even the friend who wants to order 2-3 appetizers to themselves. They got to take her out too. They got to take everybody out and have dinner and maybe call you a couple times. Like, there's not just sending the subtext anymore. So they have to put some work into this. And if they want to land Soto, the Yamamoto is the taking her and the friends out to dinner.
Yeah, no, I see that. It also sends a message to the whole team, like, hey, last year was unacceptable. We recognize we fucked up too by assembling that team, and we're trying to make right. And we're trying to buy our way out of this the way we used to, and we're trying to really go for this in 2024 and beyond. So, I think it's the move to make. I don't think they want to settle for a Jordan Montgomery. I don't even think Jordan Montgomery. I think if Cashman called Montgomery, he'd hang up right like after how that went down. Yamamoto's out there. He's 25. He's you never know truly how a guy is going to handle New York City, especially since he's never lived in the country before. But by all means, he looks like the guy to go get and go nuts for. And they really have, like, the fact that they were at Cash was at his fucking no hitter in that picture in the background. I almost thought that was fake the first time I saw it. Like, what the fuck is happening here? And then they had a rep at every single game. They're all in here. We got to see what happens. Hopefully it's resolved pretty soon. I don't want to wait much longer here. So hopefully the meeting today.
Yeah, hurry up and give me Yamamoto, says Hubs. Cashman, shut the fuck up and get this thing done, buddy. I mean,
I also don't credit Cashman with any of the moves they've made. I think
Hal,
I think it's all Hal. I think Hal is finally just like, all right, I gotta fucking I gotta be my dad. Like, I just gotta be dad for a little bit. And maybe the talks with Judge and Cole, and they supposedly meet with Hal all the fucking time now. I think Judge has as much pull and say in the organization as Cashman does at this point, maybe even more. Like, I don't credit Cashman with any of this stuff. Sure, okay, Verdugo, we'll see how that goes. Maybe that was your move, sure. But I think Hal was all Soto here. He put, Cashman is notoriously a prospect hugger in these types of moments. They just weren't. Like, it came out that they wanted Thorpe and King together, and eventually they got it done because I don't think they wanted Toronto in the mix, because Toronto could have made it very interesting, and they waited after Ohtani. So I think Hal expedited all this, and I think Hal is the driving force behind Yamamoto as well. And good on him, man. You have all this fucking money. You're finally being very aggressive and spending it. Rather, the last few years were miserable with him. He was so passive, and they would make these half measures to improve the team. Finally, you're being the Yankees, like you said. We're going back to the days where they would just fucking buy everyone and be the highest payroll by far. So let's fucking do it. I'm stoked for it. But I credit nothing with Brian Cashman. I hate that guy.
All right, last question before we let you go. Is the evil empire back, baby?
I think it is. If they if they sign Yamamoto, I will have to do
okay. Are you gonna do an evil empire is back, baby video for Yamamoto? You have to.
I think I got to do some stupid video if they bring it like that. That's they got both those guys. All right, you forced my hand. Sorry, I just did something.
Back, baby.
Gotta do something like it. Gotta do something like it. Have to. Now, if it's just Soto, now as great as Soto is, that's a bit of a half measure. Is what like we've seen in the past. Obviously, they haven't gotten a Juan Soto in a while. Yeah,
I agree. Not even cool.
You're ecstatic. I can hear in your voice.
I've given up. I'm all in on national coverage now. That's it.
You told me you want to stop doing the Red Sox.
I really do. Yeah. I mean, if they don't do something big after Tom Warner said that it's full throttle this winter.
Yeah, you have that quote. It's just like
Tom Warner said the Red Sox are going full fucking throttle, baby, this winter. So far, we have Tyler O'Neill.
Brimming with interest. Interest on tilt.
I mean, like, I will turn name redacted into like a fucking, I don't even know. Like, I'll just make it like a it's not going to be a Red Sox podcast. I'll still do it, but we're not talking about baseball if they don't do anything.
Hey, that's where we start our conspiracy theory podcast.
I will keep the feed. People that depend on us for content will still get it. It just won't be about the Red Sox. That's it.
You gotta call Coley up.
I'm honestly, you know what? You know what, Jake? If they don't do anything this winter, we're renaming the podcast the Full Throttle Podcast.
Was that the actual quote?
Yes.
Full Throttle?
Yes. Full Throttle.
You can't say Full Throttle and get Tyrell O'Neill.
No, you can't. You can't. You absolutely cannot.
What's the move that prevents Full Throttle? Is Jordan Montgomery enough?
No.
So what's the move? Like what
Yamamoto,
move is that?
it has to be Yamamoto, and it's not going to be. They're not signing him. Like they're like
so anything but Yamamoto, it goes to Full Throttle.
Yamamoto is the only throttle. That is maximum throttle is Yamamoto. It's just not. I don't think we have that gear. Like we just don't.
I genuinely feel bad for you. And
don't feel bad for me. I'm fine. Feel bad for Jake. Because Jake is still young enough to where he has hope. Like he's putting out awesome content surrounded by Yamamoto and the Red Sox. Like he's crushing it on social. But like I haven't even tweeted about Yamamoto because that's how much confidence I have in the Red Sox actually signing him. Like I don't need like Old Takes Exposed knows that I move the needle. Of all the fucking people that missed on Shohei Ohtani to the Jays, I'm the one that he's Old Takes exposing. So if I tweet that I want Yamamoto, guess who fucking, out of all the Red Sox fans that tweeted about wanting Yamamoto, guess who's getting Old Takes exposed? Me. So I'm not fucking saying shit. Yes, I want him. No, I don't have any confidence that he's coming to Boston.
He's definitely not coming if you don't have his back.
Full throttle. Full throttle, baby.
Fucking throttle, man. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. All right, Hubs. Happy birthday. Enjoy the rest of your birthday. I don't know when the next time. Let's go to a game together this season. We can go see Yamamoto at Yankee Stadium.
That would be great.
Yeah.
I would love that, Jared.
Yeah, that would be great.
I'll see you at the wedding.
Yeah, I'll be at the wedding too. Yeah, I thought that it was in when you sent me the thing for like a hotel, I was like, oh, it's probably in like New Jersey or some like scumbag like New York like bullshit town. And then I opened it and I was like, fucking California? God damn. It's the first week of the off season, which is great. Like I appreciate that very much. It's the first week of the off season.
So to real quick before we go, she wanted to do it the week before. Because daylight savings is the weekend we're doing it is the first weekend of daylight savings. No. So obviously it gets darker an hour earlier. All this that is potentially Game 7 of the World Series. I told her there is 0.00001% chance that would involve the New York Yankees. I could not possibly take the risk of getting married during Game 7 of the Yankees. I was like, the wedding would be ruined. You wouldn't have me. Yeah. You would not have any of my attention. You'd maybe have 1% of my, like, we just could not risk that. That was a fucking 2-week ordeal. We got her on that side. We're good to go. This happens to be actually by accident that she thinks I picked this place because of this. But Garrett Cole's wife, Amy, they did their baby sprinkle at this venue.
Baby sprinkle.
She thinks that's why I picked this, but that's not the case.
Yeah. So she must be sitting there at night thinking like, oh, I married Eric Hubbs and like.
Now what did I do wrong? What did I see wrong?
It's just terrible. It's terrible, dude.
She thinks every day.
Yeah.
Every she's trying to enjoy the off season, but now she's heard Yamamoto in the apartment a little too much.
Oh. So yeah.
I just I mean, for Pete's sake, it's
all right. Hubbs. It's been real. We'll talk to you soon.
Good talking to you guys.
All right.
Goodbye.
Bye, Hobbs. And then we're just gonna keep it rolling. Like we have Jordan and Johnny lined up. Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Wow. These boxes are fucking small as hell, so I can barely see you guys. But welcome to the show. I threw out a tweet yesterday saying Blue Jays Twitter, take me to your leader. And everyone on Blue Jays Twitter tagged you guys, which, by the way, if it were up to me, if I didn't send out that tweet, I would have picked you guys regardless. But I was like, I have a prior relationship with both of you, so I didn't want my bias to get in the way. I wanted Blue Jays Twitter to actually be truly represented. But luckily enough, you guys were both the most selected people by Blue Jays Twitter. So congratulations for that.
Thank you, Jared. Appreciate that.
It's good to see you guys. So yesterday, well, first of all, let's go back to Saturday first. Very, very traumatic. It must have been a traumatic experience that you guys are still kind of feeling at this very moment. I'm just going to take you through my process quickly. Like I don't know if you heard before you came on, I got old takes exposed for saying Shohei Ohtani is such a Blue Jay. That's all I said. That's all. I didn't report nothing. You got people reporting Shohei's on a fucking plane to Toronto. You got people saying there's 6 p.m. press conferences for the Blue Jays. Who gets old takes exposed? Me saying Shohei is such a Blue Jay. I thought that was bullshit. Then I'm pulling out of my driveway and I get the notification. 10 years, $700 million, Los Angeles Dodgers. Did you guys believe your eyes? Like, did you think that someone was fucking with you?
Personally, yes. I was also dressed as a Christmas elf during all of this. And I was handing out candy canes to little kids. Okay. And, I could not check my phone at all. And I kind of like just briefly looked and I was like, no way. No goddamn way.
Well, time out.
Like,
do they do that in Canada? Like they you guys dress as elves in Canada?
What do they do? Christmas in Canada?
No.
We do Christmas here.
Dallas. She just said she dressed up as an elf and handed out candy canes. Like that's what you would do on like Halloween, but on Christmas, do you basically take the concept of Halloween and distribute it to Christmas?
No. Also, like, side note, my dad owns like a Christmas company, so on top, like, it's just like something I've been doing forever.
Okay.
It's a nice little side gig on top of doing baseball stuff to hand out candy canes to
Are you slaying
kids.
Christmas trees? Are you and the fam slaying Christmas trees, Jordan?
Yeah.
No. I kind of refer to my dad as a Santa pimp. He has like 100 different Santas. He pimps out to like
really?
parties and
What's
events.
up, yo?
Yeah.
I'm trying to join the gang.
No, you're perfect.
Yeah, we'll talk offline, Jordan.
I don't think Dallas could. I don't know that like his record would allow him to be like a mall Santa anywhere.
Totally clear.
Dallas
totally
fucking Santa smells like Kush, bro.
You got like a Billy Bob Thornton vibe for Tia.
I'll trust me. I'll be a fan favorite. The kids will love me.
I feel like Johnny, you've been all over Twitter the last 48 to 72 hours here. You've been essentially the face of the Blue Jays backlash uproar. And I just want to preface this by saying that this is not to come at Shohei Ohtani. Because when I said that I was going to have you guys on, the ShoBaes were like, oh, you guys are just trying to get clout off of Shohei. And like, no. Like, that's not like a Blue Jays fan has every right to be upset right now. It has nothing to do with, Shohei can't make an adult decision. No, it has nothing to do with that either. Shohei can make a decision. It's just kind of how it all came about. So, Johnny, I want to hear your entire thought process. Like, where are we at take me from Saturday up until now, like the roller coaster of emotions. Where are we at?
I'll one up you. I'll do it even further. Okay. So listen, Friday there was a time span, maybe it was an hour and a half, where it was the greatest hour and a half of my young life. I'm texting my buddies. We're going out tonight. Shohei Ohtani's on a fucking flight to Toronto. Let's fucking go. I'm excited. Like, I left work early. Sorry, Sandy, if you're listening to this. I left work early. I'm hanging out like I'm getting ready to record a Shohei Ohtani podcast. We're popping bottles, and it was a lie. It was a lie to us. So then the tweet comes out from Bob Nightingale. He's not on the plane, all that type of stuff. And then that was kind of like the most emotional low I've ever had in my life. And then I make a video Saturday morning.
Wait, hold on. Were you watching the flight? Were you watching the flight?
No, I wasn't watching the flight. I'm not going to go that crazy into it. I was relying on Twitter to watch the flight for me.
Okay.
On Saturday, I just do a positive vibes tweet. I had a miserable Friday night. I am miserable Friday night because I think he's still a Blue Jay. I don't even go out. I'm just relaxing at home Friday night. I tweet Saturday morning a video of me in my car, just like positive vibes only. The Toronto Blue Jays are going to get Shohei Ohtani. Everything's going to be okay. And then he makes the announcement, and I look back. This video had like 300,000 views. Yankee fans telling me to kill myself. Oriole fans calling me delusional. It was absolutely insane. Saturday was a hellfire for me. I had like 150 DMs from people calling me a four-eyed freak, short loser for thinking that Ohtani would ever come to the Toronto Blue Jays.
How tall
Saturday
are you?
was hell. It was the worst day of my life.
How tall are you?
5'10".
Yeah, that's not
A brisk
short, Dallas.
5'10".
Fuck you. Fuck 5'10". By the way,
Jared,
hey,
Jared,
hold on, Dallas. Let me
That's
just
an
say
inch
this.
and a half taller than
Dallas,
you are, buddy.
Dallas, I'm 5'10".
You're right. It's
5'10". I'll
not.
show you my license. I'm 5'10". Not the greatest example, but I was watching a crime doc over the weekend, and again, not the best example, but one of the witnesses for the Idaho murders described the dude as tall. He's 5'10". So 5'10" can look like tall to some people. There you go.
Thank you. And Jared, by the way, going back to this, I'm not mad at Shohei Ohtani for signing with the Dodgers. It obviously makes a shit ton of sense. He lived there. I am more mad and I am more heartbroken at the fact, like, if he would have signed with the Dodgers just randomly, it would have been fine. But the fact that we had him, according to my dumb idiot fucking brain, for an hour, I thought we had him. And the fact that he was ours for an hour, then taken away from us and signs with the Dodgers, that's what makes it significantly worse for me, is the fact that there was reports that he was actually coming here. If there was no reports, then whatever, fine, he signed with the Dodgers, good for him. But he was kind of taken from us. Not really, he was just taken from us on Twitter.
Right. I mean, be honest. Do you actually believe these conspiracies? And for anyone that's listening that doesn't know the conspiracy, there is a tweet going around. So you're telling me Ohtani's camp not only gave Morosi and Hornster? Who the fuck's that? That's the press conference guy?
He's a fraud fuck bum.
He's the Dodgers reporter or something. No, that's...
Yeah, he's a Dodgers Nation reporter. He's a bum.
Gave Morosi and Hornster fake intel, but also created a fake flight to use the Jays as leverage to get $100+ million more than they should have from the Dodgers. And then Brandon Weil, I've communicated with him before. So putting all the Ohtani pieces together, it looks like Ohtani hoped to land with the Dodgers. It was reported early he knew where he wanted to go, gave them a chance for a final offer. Agent likely initially wasn't getting the money that he wanted. Someone in Ohtani's camp leaked that he was signing with the Blue Jays and traveling to Toronto. After those leaks, the Dodgers thought they might lose him and came in with the final offer. And then this is from Tom Verducci. On Friday, reports broke that Ohtani's signing was imminent and that he was headed to Toronto to sign with the Blue Jays. The report was completely erroneous. The Dodgers didn't know that. They held meetings Friday night on air of worry. The rumors were likely false, they decided, but they still created angst amongst the Los Angeles executives. Quote, "You don't know," says one of the Dodgers executives when asked about the Friday night meeting. "That's the best way to describe it. We just didn't know. It was not a comfortable feeling." So Dallas, let me ask you, as someone that agents, agents speak, inner workings of major league organizations, do you think that there is a chance that reporters were manipulated into putting out fake news so that the Dodgers would up their offer to a number that was more acceptable for Ohtani's camp?
All the cards are in play, Jared. All of the cards are in play. Yeah. This is chess. This ain't checkers. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry. And as I have categorized him, he is now his own economy in his own right. And you were talking about one economy in the Dodgers locking up another economy in Shohei Ohtani. And they're going to need help with the other economy that is Major League Baseball. And they know how all of these wheels and gears turn and operate. That's why I said, with the way that he oppressed all of the negotiations and all of the meetings, right? That was all about being able to, in the end, get a feel for who was going to squeal. They send out a red herring. Who's going to squeal? Well, they felt confident enough that there were no leaks, that they had everything tightened up, which gave them the ability to go, okay, since we're pretty good here and we know that we've got all of our bases covered, we can be the smoking gun. We can make this happen now. Just like agents and writers have done time and time and time again in the past. How many times in a big free agent negotiation do we hear oh, who's this? Hi, I'm the mystery team that just showed up out of absolutely nowhere. Nobody told me who you are. Nobody told me where you come from, but I'm a mystery team and I'm involved here. Wow. Where did that happen? How did that happen? And why did that happen? So this is that game of chess potentially being played on a grand scale. That's all that is. And when you're talking about $1 billion worth of revenue, one way or the other, cashing out on $1 billion because you're putting up $1 billion, a move like this is absolutely in play. Absolutely.
So then it would appear that Blue Jays fans have a right to be upset here.
Well, what I was going to say is, and I mean, Jordan, Johnny, you guys can speak to this. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like there's some serious side piece vibes coming from Toronto. Like, are we the side? Like, is this what just happened? Like, we essentially got taken to dinner so that we could have pictures taken of us, so that you could make this one jealous and you could ultimately get what you wanted. Right? Is that what just kind of happened? And it sucks that it feels like it was the Blue Jays who got pinpointed to be that side piece. Because, I mean, one thing I'll say about Blue Jays fans and my experience as a player in Toronto and my experience as a member of the media, if you could hand pick a place where you know you were going to be loved, you know you were going to be revered, you know you were going to be given the opportunity to entrench yourself in the community and to be a part of something great, those fans, that fan base is going to give you every bit of that opportunity, which is why I hate to see Blue Jays fans getting trashed for having any sort of emotion about this and feeling the way they do. They have every fucking right to feel this way. Are you kidding me? Every fucking right to feel this way. You're telling me you got the game's next Babe Ruth on an airplane to come sign with my squad, and now that's just not a thing? What? Yeah, I got some air in my chest about that. If I'm a Blue Jays fan.
I agree, Dallas, but this is my thing. I mean, we're getting shamed, obviously, and getting called. I mean, we have all these, and like I said, I'm not here to trash journalists and reporters, but Jon Heyman is a spineless jellyfish piece of fucking garbage human being. And for this guy to continue to just write articles, and I know he's clickbaiting. I'm not an idiot. Yeah. I do it too. But he is clickbaiting, pretty much calling Canada Siberia of Major League Baseball. He is like, he's saying this is good for us. You don't play for the fucking Dodgers, Jon Heyman. It's not good for you. You don't play for the fucking Dodgers. He's saying it's good for them, all that type of stuff. Obviously, Jays fans are going to be mad because, first of all, we have to deal with Ohtani not even playing for our team now. And then now we have to deal with these fucking clowns like Jon Heyman that are trashing Canada on every article. It's him, Ken Rosenthal, Bob Costas out of fucking nowhere is trashing Canada.
What?
It's crazy. Then we have to deal with that on top of it now as well.
What the fuck did Bob Costas say?
Worse. He was on the Dan Patrick show, I think, just reiterating how much of a dog shit country Canada is, pretty much. Wow. It's wild. It's wild, the shit we have to deal with on top of it.
It's wild on top of it, too, also, though, is like Jays fans are being blamed for believing it as if an MLB Network reporter, John Morosi, didn't say it himself freaking self. Like, I'm sorry, I'm going to believe the news that you were putting out there. Like... Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, Jordan, that's what is kind of like taking me by surprise is how Jays fans are being ridiculed or just trashed for having a reaction to this, for having emotion over who are you supposed to believe? Like, these are the people that you believe, right? And that's why I always laugh about the idea of a signing occurring. We can all tweet it out because it means the same thing. It means the exact same thing. We just hold these writers and these journalists to a different level of integrity, right? We think when they say it, it means something. So there's no way that the Jays fans should ever be responsible for being, or should be trashed for having emotion about this. Who are you going to believe?
It's funny because also like Friday when all this stuff happened with the flight stuff, like I remember it was like 8 o'clock in the morning or 9 o'clock in the morning. And Morosi already started tweeting Canadian flags out and everything.
He did do that. Yeah.
Like, what are we doing here? You're setting us up, and that, like,
that was honestly the tweet that made me say Shohei is such a Blue Jay. Because I trust Morosi. When in the history of being a baseball fan on Twitter, has John Morosi ever thrown something out there and been wildly inaccurate?
Like, he said Soto 7 times that it was going to be finalized.
Yes, that is why I think that there was something nefarious going on. Because John Morosi, like, there's definitely reporters out there that are slapdick reporters that would get a DM from, like, Twitter user 958345678 and be like, Shohei Ohtani's on a flight to Toronto, and they'll just throw it out there. But like Morosi, like that dude is pretty rock solid in terms of credibility, which makes me think like someone was fucking with him, that like whoever his source was like a solid source. So whoever the source was fucked with him, in my opinion.
Well, this is the thing, Jared. Jared, I don't know if you saw this, because I don't know how like intertwined you are with like Sportsnet and the stuff that we deal with here. But there was like 2 Sportsnet reporters, not to send shots at them, but Ben Nicholson-Smith and Shai Davidi. I am going to name drop them.
I know Ben is because he was the MLB trade rumors guy.
Yeah, so they wrote an article on Saturday, pretty much calling Jays fans like morons for believing like the tweets, like calling Twitter like a cesspool of fake information. The company they work for retweeted the John Morosi tweet to amplify it to a Canadian audience.
And Ben started MLB trade rumors, and MLB trade rumors reported it. Like they were citing the Dodgers Digest, but like that's why when MLB trade rumors tweeted that report, that's when I was like, wait, this feels like they got hacked. Like that is such a big story where like, I don't know who the reporters are at Dodgers Digest or whatever. Like no disrespect to them if they're well known in their community, but I don't really know them. So for MLB trade rumors, who's like on top of everything, like basically, Yamamoto could sign right now and it's on their website within 90 seconds. Like that's how on top of shit they are. So when they tweeted out like, hey, report like Shohei Ohtani to sign with the Toronto Blue Jays, I was like, wow, okay. Like either they're hacked or like this is really happening. So for it not to happen and for Ben to kind of like shit on Jays fans for believing the reports when his own former website like went with it, like everyone was going with it. That's why it's so fucking crazy to me.
I also think this just generally goes back to the idea that Ohtani had a veil of secrecy over the entire process, and that created a vacuum of information, right? And what this really revealed about the baseball like reporting journalism situation is that like it's not, people think journalism and they're like, oh man, this guy's like on the case, he's sleuthing, he's trying to get like, no. It's basically just the agent or the GM passing you the information and then you tweeting it out. And when that doesn't happen, it creates this void that then allows maybe a fake story, maybe a real story that was misinterpreted with the plane, however it ends up being, like that then becomes what people are talking about in order to get the clicks and to get the attention. Like it was to me like Ohtani like made the whole industry kind of look like a bunch of jackasses, either directly or indirectly, with the entire approach. And the idea that Jays fans are taking any sort of flack for this is so stupid. It should be entirely the baseball media, as Johnny and Jordan have said.
Yeah, it showed exactly what happens when a guy like Ohtani is as sought after as he is, means what he's going to mean to an organization, and you have everybody playing ball by the same rules, because everybody was in it to win it and didn't want to fuck it up for themselves. And essentially we're like, I'm not going to be the one to fuck it up for us. And I'm not going to be, okay. So if everybody's playing under that set of rules, then you have no leaks. You have no ulterior motives. You don't have another narrative that you can create against another false narrative that has been created, right? There is no mystery team to create because nobody knows who he's talking to. Nobody knows how those conversations are going. So what this situation really kind of pulled the curtain back on was, like Jay said, there is just not as much of everybody being on the same page and having all the same information as you think. I think there's a lot of people seeing a report here, seeing a report there, feeling confident that that is the case, firing it off themselves and letting the narratives just continue to churn. That just didn't have the opportunity to ever be a thing here. The Petri dish never had anything dropped in it to start to grow.
It's because unlike everybody else, it's just because Shohei has 2 friends in his life. He talks to 2 people.
Ippei and his dog?
He doesn't do shit. So unlike every other major league player with all the boys and all the fucking, going, he can keep it in circle.
That's a good spin zone, Joey. Maybe I could start saying I didn't even want Shohei because he has no friends. Like no one in the clubhouse would like him.
That's
Why
the
does he
opposite.
need that much money?
You need a guy with no friends.
Why does he need that much money? Is he has no girl, he has no kids, he has a dog.
I think he has a girlfriend.
Name.
I think he has a girlfriend.
He does. Okay, well, great. She gets all
Jared,
of it.
shut up, dude. You don't know.
Yes, I do.
This is how the process starts spinning, is that you just say something, we're going to go with it.
They've been trying to catch Shohei with the girlfriend for fucking 15 years, dude.
I mean,
he's got
one. Sorry,
you're not him.
But he's got one. And
I'm not going to believe any fucking reporting on Shohei's girlfriend after what we just went through.
I'm not going to believe it. I don't like. I have but one rule. I broke it. It's that Jeffrey Passan is the only legitimate baseball source.
Yeah,
like that's really it. Like unless it comes from Passan, like even like stuff from like Heyman. I obviously don't trust Heyman because we all know that like Scott Boras is his puppet master. But like Bob Nightingale's got the legacy of being wrong about literally everything. Like who else is left? Ken Rosenthal? Like
no, because he did shit on the
Shams.
Jays.
Was it Shams breaking this news?
Yeah, Shams was the first tweet I saw. Dallas, a fucking NBA insider guy.
It was like Ohtani and then Shams. Ohtani posted it to Instagram. Shams dropped it like roughly at the same time, and then here was Passan. So it's like the guy, the dude, the horse's mouth, and then an NBA insider, and then Passan.
Yeah, and I don't think Rosenthal breaks news anymore. He just retweets foul territory all day.
He's like an insider emeritus.
Yeah, like it's always like, breaking this thing happened, so-and-so was on it first.
Yeah.
Like
he's just giving out compliments. He's just a guy who gives out compliments now.
Yeah. Yeah, Jeff Passan.
No, I love Bob Nightingale coming out today too with the the industry has really embarrassed itself calm. It's like, dude. Were you going for the least tone or the most tone deaf column like ever? The most ironic? Like, what are we doing?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
that right there, it's that stuff that you have to know that we are in a simulation. Like that was
We're all
something
trying to find the guy who did it, Bob. Yeah.
I think on the Shohei emergency pod, I said it must feel like to Blue Jays fans that you guys just had like this wild dream that Shohei Ohtani was on the Blue Jays and then you just woke up. Does it feel like that? Like, does it feel like that the reports were so leaning towards it happening that you must have felt like it was actually happening and now he's a Dodger?
It's too good to be true, Jared. It was too good to be true, and I don't know why my dumb brain tried to believe this. It was like things are just this never happens. I mean, obviously Kevin Gossman chose to sign here over the Mets, but like stuff like this doesn't happen. We don't get nice things. Like we don't get nice things like Shohei Ohtani here for Toronto baseball. It's bad for baseball media. It's bad for John Heyman. So there's no way we get these guys. But it is like it's a terrible dream. But looking back on it, I was so delusional. I was so delusional in thinking that it was like I think I might have said actually at one point he's 100% coming to the Toronto Blue Jays. That's how delusional I was.
Two questions, two-part question for you guys here. One, I guess. Well, let me ask this first one. What is it going to feel like when ultimately we find out? Because I'm sure you guys heard the Jays got on the horn with Rogers Media Group, right? And they're like, "Hey, we need some help trying to secure the bag for this dude." Like,
well, the report was that the offers were similar, right?
I think they were pretty much right there at 700 mil.
Yeah, and oh my god,
really? Where was this?
Yesterday, I saw that yesterday. I don't know.
I think it was Ben
what makes
that
it worse
tweeted
is
it.
now these Sportsnet reporters are now coming out with these articles that are bigger gun punches, like saying, "Oh, the Jays were right there." I don't want to fucking read that. I don't want to read how close we were. It's like that's like a girl at the bar telling you, "Listen, man, you almost had a chance with me, but someone better looking came along and took me away from you." Like that's what that. I don't want to read about that.
Would it have been better if you would have found out that you had no chance with her from the very beginning? Meaning, would it have been better if you found out that we were $200 million apart? Like we were flipping over couch cushions to get to 550, and we got blown out of the water. Like it was 150 million more. Like we had no chance. Would that feel better?
I think so, but I guess it also, because now what this kind of does, it kind of eliminates the fans that are like, "Oh, the Jays are scared to spend money. The Jays don't want to spend money." Because now we could just kind of pin pin back to this, like the Jays were in on the Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes, the most expensive player in MLB history. So now we can kind of sweep that under the rug.
I mean, that's like when people call me a pussy, and I'm like, I almost joined the Marines in 2012.
I think that with the part of it, I was just gonna say, like, the thing though that kind of gets me is like, yeah, we were all in to spend this money, but I think like a part of it was also the fact that we lost out then on Soto, so now we have neither of them. Is what also is a big pain in the ass.
So that's what my next question was going to be is, so if you feel like you've missed out on Ohtani, and whether it's, oh my God, we weren't even close, or son of a bitch, that hurts because we were so close, where do you now go? Where do you go from here? And because you don't get a Soto type, but there are some arms out there that you could go and get. You know, I don't know that you're going to get that big offensive splash that you're hoping for, but there's a Cy Young out there who needs a home. There's a guy that you're familiar with in Marcus Stroman who needs a home. So, I mean, is there, I know that might not be the pivot that you're looking to make after feeling like you were ready to wear a number 17 Shohei Ohtani jersey for the next decade, but here we are.
Cody Bellinger is so a Blue Jay. I'm sorry. He's so a Blue Jay, Jared.
Wow. Shout out Flonase. Yeah. I could see that being a fit for sure.
The amount of dispensaries around the Rogers Center and just like Kevin Gosman being an advocate for just munchies with Cinnabon and everything. It's a good duo.
I can't see myself, and listen, I'm not going to stop people to death, but Cody Bellinger last year on 2 strike counts hit 280. The rest of his career hit 140. I mean, this guy is due for I love Cody Bellinger, but he is due for a lot of regression, and he's going to get paid the way he played last year. I don't think that's the type of bat that moves the needle. I know, listen, Chris Bassett texted me this morning at 6 a.m. telling me he wants Cody Bellinger. That's fine. I don't know if I've talked myself into it yet. I've watched Jorge Soler, too many Jorge Soler videos to talk myself into Cody Bellinger right now.
Johnny, I don't know how comfortable this makes you or where this puts you, but I have said something similar. I said, I think I would like to see more of this type of game from Cody Bellinger before I start backing up any sort of truck to give him a load. I'm gonna need to see more.
Yeah, it's just this would be the worst thing possible. You miss out on Shohei, you sign Cody Bellinger for $200 million, and he hits like Dalton Varsho. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen. So I'm trying to eliminate that. Just give me someone that's at least done it for a decent amount of time. Jorge Soler, just his home runs rock. That's why I kind of want him. I've only been watching his home run videos, but yeah, I've really talked myself into him as of late, to be honest.
That's not, and it would be not a huge expense to write off Jorge Soler. But I think, I don't know, like when you're the Toronto Blue Jays, I think just the silver lining is that it's exciting to know we're capable and willing to sign a player like that, regardless of what the price tag is. I don't know. Maybe that means that they'll be in on Juan Soto and free agency. I mean, like that kind of lines up, like that lends itself to that line of thinking where, if they're willing to write a check for $700 for Shohei, then will they go to $400 for someone like Soto? I don't know. I guess we'll see.
I think it's also like really good with how last year ended. Like everyone was just pretty pissed off with how the year ended for the Blue Jays and like wanting to see changes from the front office and just knowing that the front office wanted to spend that kind of money on Shohei. Now, I mean, I'm not mad at the Jays front office at all, honestly, at this point. So
it sounds like you guys got played.
Yeah.
This is my World Series, Jared, and maybe we can start pushing this. Juan Soto goes to the Yankees next year, goes to free agency, Jay sign him and take him away from the Yankees. That's how delusional my brain is working right now. I've talked myself into that.
I don't think it's delusional. And you guys know I'm a big advocate for Canada and the Toronto Blue Jays. I feel like I got a lot of that on Twitter recently. I was rooting for, I think I tweeted, like 2 weeks ago, why does it feel like the Blue Jays are about to have a monster offseason? That didn't work out. That didn't age perfect. But like, I mean, the fact that you were in on Soto didn't happen. Shohei maybe could have happened, didn't happen, but you were in on it. Like, you know, the Blue Jays, I'm an advocate, but I wanna end with this. Because there's probably going to be more Blue Jays fans listening now because you guys are here. But I know that we have like a normal contingency of Blue Jays fans who do listen. So I want to ask you guys, what would, as the faces of Blue Jays Twitter, what would you say to Blue Jays fans to give them hope for the future, even though Shohei is not happening? What would you say to those people?
Jordan,
you look like you were in a power pose. I was actually going to let you do it.
I'm thinking. Let's fire the people.
I mean,
up
it's bad that you have to think, but go ahead. It's bad that it doesn't just come naturally.
We're still coming off the weekend.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah. I'll say this. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. last year was a fucking bum. Alejandro Kirk last year was a fucking bum. Dalton Varsho last year was a bum. These are three massive pieces of part of your team, and this team still won 89 games. You got one of the best pitching staffs in baseball, second lowest ERA last year. Keep the fucking change. Coming back, you got one of the best bullpens in baseball, another top 5 bullpen in the league. You won the defensive gold glove. All the facets of the game were good last year. You won 89 games with statistically one of the worst offenses you ever had. If you have bounce backs like Vladdy, like Kirk coming back to Silver Slugger form, Varsho is a competent human being at the plate with how good he is defensively. This team is still really good. This team still has potential to be really good, barring all of those. Getting a 2021 Vladdy back is better than getting a free agent. We're talking about a guy that hit 35 plus, 30 plus home runs, was one of the best hitters in baseball, lost the MVP to Shohei Ohtani. You get even a 3/4 of that guy back. That's better than picking up a free agent. And all these guys coming back, hopefully having bounce backs years, that's a positive look for the Toronto Blue Jays. And hopefully we can get that because every other facet is locked down and going to be good for next year.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Jordan, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I took the words right out of my mouth.
Wow.
Honestly. Word for word, bar for bar.
I love that. All right. Pimp your Twitters.
Johnny Giunta _ on Twitter. And yeah, listen, a lot of my tweets lately have been going at John Heyman, so I'll pump the brakes on that a little bit. But yeah, I just like to keep it real. I like to go at John Heyman. As of right now, he's public enemy number 1. And that guy, JP Horpster, whatever the fuck his name is.
Yeah. Jordan?
Just Jordan Cicchelli. Yeah,
okay.
That's Italian.
All right. Thank you guys for joining us. I'm assuming that moving forward now, whenever the Toronto Blue Jays are in the news, we'll be calling you guys up. So be available. Best
love that. Thank you, Jared. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
We'll see you guys.
Okay, that was therapeutic. That was therapeutic to be able to give Blue Jays fans a safe space to, because I think ultimately I'm dead inside already as a Red Sox fan. Like I don't feel like I'm past the point of being angry and depressed about my team to where I just like don't feel anything in particular. But the Blue Jays have been on a run of playing good baseball, getting to the postseason, flirting with getting to the postseason, have star players, spend in free agency, have made big trades, and none of that has amounted to much in terms of postseason success. So you get into this Shohei Ohtani sweepstakes and feel like you're in the red zone here. You're about to punch it in, and that's a big blow. I tried to put myself in that fan base's position, how upset I would be if I were them, being on that emotional roller coaster of the past 5 years, like the next generation Jays and the promise and how that really hasn't delivered. Some of the trades that they made that haven't really delivered. Gosman's been a great free agent signing, obviously. But the moves that I would genuinely be excited about for the most part haven't really panned out. And then to feel like Shohei is yours and then he's not. My frustrations wouldn't do the justice that real Blue Jays fans would. So that's why I wanted their voices to be heard today.
Yeah, that's pain. They're dealing with real pain.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny should enjoy those tweets to Heyman because I've heard that he'll block you if you do that one too many times.
Yeah. I don't know. Did he block you, Dallas?
I've been.
Yeah, remember I told you he
I know he
DM'd
you and was like, "Well, I really don't appreciate your tweets still."
Oh no, he sent this like no, he blocked me right after he sent that. he sent his I still I still can't believe that happened.
Are you blocked by anyone, Joe? Any like big name people?
Marcus Stroman.
Are you really?
Yeah.
What did you say about Marcus Stroman?
I think I tweeted out a clip of him using like a foreign substance. It was like,
oh,
gotcha, bitch.
Got it.
But like as a joke, I wasn't really even being a snitch. I was just, but he searches his own name and blocks everybody.
Yeah. He hasn't tweeted in a while. I feel like maybe he finally gave up Twitter. I hope he finds peace.
He's definitely always looking for peace.
He's always looking for peace.
He's been peace.
He's ever going to find it.
He said he's always been having peace. It's kind of those things like you're telling everyone you're at peace over and over again. Makes you wonder.
Twitter's, I mean, I'll be honest, Twitter's probably not the place to search for peace.
No. It's a barren landscape.
We're going to take a quick break from today's episode to bring you a word from our sponsor. Baseball may be finished, but there's a new season to be happy about. The holidays. And the beer that was perfect for baseball is also the perfect match for a brighter holiday. From its bold, refreshing flavor to its beautiful, bright color, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale is made brighter for the holidays. I can't imagine being a Blue Jays fan over the past weekend, and I'm sure plenty of Blue Moons were flowing up in Toronto. I mean, all day Friday, you're thinking Shohei's on a flight to Toronto, press conference at 6, Blue Jays are going to sign him, we're going to crack some Blue Moons and celebrate. Those Blue Moons quickly changed from celebratory Blue Moons to get me through the fucking night Blue Moons because Blue Jays fans had their hearts ripped out the very next day. One piece of advice for you guys, keep drinking those Blue Moons because Blue Moon Brewing Company beers are made brighter as the perfect complement to the holiday season. From Blue Moon Belgian White's refreshing flavor to Light Sky's real tangerine peel taste to Moon Haze's juicy burst of flavor, the whole crowd will be reaching for the bright stuff this holiday. With its refreshing flavor with Valencia orange peel for a subtle sweetness and hints of coriander, Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale is a beer that's made brighter. It's carefully crafted and full-flavored with refreshing notes and a smooth, creamy finish. The season should be merry and bright, so Blue Moon is a perfect match for the holidays. The crack of a beer, the pour, the first sip of that bold flavor, Blue Moon always feels like a special occasion. Best served with its signature orange garnish to showcase its beautiful bright color, a beer this good only comes around once in a blue moon, but you can enjoy it all through the holidays. Brighten up the holidays with a beer that's made brighter. Get Blue Moon Belgian White Belgian-style wheat ale, Light Sky, and Moon Haze delivered by visiting get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket for delivery options. That's get.bluemoonbeer.com/rocket. Blue Moon, made brighter. Celebrate responsibly. Blue Moon Brewing Company, Golden, Colorado Ale.
How do you? I know that you're deep in the shit over there, Joe, with the ShoBaes. How do you think the ShoBaes are going to like the fact that their man has gone Hollywood?
I've heard some stuff already with some of the ShoBaes that the Dodgers community may not be as accepting as some might want to know. So there could be a rift in that. That's something to look out for, a war between Shohei fans and Dodgers fans. Everyone knows Shohei fans are becoming Dodgers fans.
Why?
Rapidly.
Why wouldn't they accept the ShoBaes?
You guys didn't like the Dodgers last year. You guys like the Angels. We're the Dodgers rivals. You know what I'm saying? There could be some of that going on. And I think that's a terrible mistake for Dodgers fans. You got to have open arms for these fucks. They'll find your address. They'll find your address.
They're going to open up, Joe.
I hope. I mean, a lot of them will. Some of them won't. We saw the response from Ben Verlander. Okay, how hostile they were to Ben Verlander, and I thought that was bullshit.
That's
I always had that guy's back. But
yeah, you've always been a day one Ben Verlander guy. But
if they're willing to do that to Ben Verlander,
but the ShoBaes just love Shohei. They weren't anti-Dodger. Like Ben was anti-Dodger last year.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
I didn't see that.
And I mean, you got to think of it on multiple levels. Like he was anti-Dodger and he was an Astros fan for his brother. And we all know how the Dodgers feel about the Astros because of 2017.
Yeah, there could be some problems here. Yeah, so this is a time where Dodgers fans need to come to grips. Who are they going to accept?
Yeah, Ben Verlander might be better served to stay out of the left field bleachers at Dodgers.
Yeah, he's got a different hill to climb than the ShoBaes. The ShoBaes are going to fit right in LA, I feel like. But I did see, what did you just tweet, Dallas, about the ESPN will televise Shohei Ohtani's first 2 games as a member of the Dodgers as part of its Is it pronounced Seoul?
Yeah, Seoul.
Seoul Series broadcasts March 20th to 21st. The first 2 MLB games ever played in Korea. It's from Ben Cafardo, our guy. So the Shohei Ohtani effect in full force already.
Yep. And the Dodgers are capitalizing.
Oh shit! Their first game's gonna be in Korea. Those are real games.
Yeah.
March 20th.
Yeah. Are those going to be? Yeah, it'll probably be like we did when we opened up in 2008 against the Sox.
I remember
in Japan. Those 2 games, we played 2 games against the Red Sox, and then games against I think Yomiuri.
Damn.
The Giants.
Yeah, and the Hiroshima Carp. But then we came back, finished up spring training, and then played 2 games against the Red Sox in America to finish the 4-game opening series.
Yeah.
I remember that, dude. I remember waking up early before school, checking that shit, and then going to school.
What time was first pitch Eastern? It was like 5 a.m. Eastern, maybe?
Early as shit.
Yeah, I remember waking up.
I had to see Braden. I got to see Braden.
I'm
not missing that.
Oh.
Did you pitch in that? Did you pitch in those games, Dallas?
No, I did not pitch against the Red Sox. I pitched in the other games. Yeah, I didn't pitch against the Red Sox. So
got it.
It's got to be kind of a nightmare though, like fucking flying to Korea or Japan and flying back.
It was a ton of fun.
And you got to wait a
week. We were there
week
for like 9 days, I think, or 7 days, something like that. I had a blast. I mean, I love culture. I love shit like that. So I had a fucking great time just cruising around. And I mean, the baseball experience, like showering, food, everything was just completely different.
What do you think I would find most interesting in Japan, Dallas?
Well, you're not a foodie. You're not interested in food.
I'm a steak guy. I like steak.
By any stretch. Yeah. Well, I mean, I'd probably hit you with some A5 Wagyu that'll spin your wheels.
Yeah.
Feel like you're just biting into a beef flavored stick of butter, really is what you start getting into there. If you're I mean, you like history, you're a history guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you would enjoy some of the architecture and some of the history behind that. I mean, you're talking about one of the oldest cultures in the history of mankind.
Yeah.
So like it's super fascinating.
Take on the Babe Ruth tour.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time checking out architecture. And
by the way, speaking of Babe Ruth, I don't want to dive too deep into this, but I received a text message about 20 minutes ago. What's up, dude? How about your boy Chris Russo saying that Babe Ruth was twice the pitcher that Ohtani ever was? Dead serious. What the fuck are we doing?
He didn't say that. There's no way he said that.
He said that.
There's do you have a clip?
I don't have a clip, but I will tell you that the person who sent me this text message is a broadcaster for a Major League Baseball team, and it's not the Boston Red Sox. So, credible source.
Said they just
he also said that no one would give him $500 million after he got hurt. Said no one's giving $500 million now.
What did Brian Kenny say, Jayhay? 6 for $255.
Yes, 6 years, 250 and change was what he would do for Ohtani.
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
I mean, that's close.
I mean, just getting up on state TV and being like, I would give this guy $200-something million, and 2 months later, he goes and gets $700 million, and you're supposed to be like the analytics dude. Jesus.
Yeah.
200 million.
Forgot to factor in all of the other money going to be made in all of the other areas.
He's close. I mean, he's probably going to pull in like $1 billion career earnings. Actually, what was his career earnings to date? Has he? I know he made what, like 30-something million last year through arbitration.
Yeah, baseball. That's what we're talking about is baseball earnings.
Well, I'm talking about because Joe
30,
knows more
39 million, just below 40 million per Baseball Reference, at least.
Yeah, career earnings, Jared.
I'm
very
talking
well may have already eclipsed the $1 billion mark with this 700 billion.
Well, yeah,
with this 700 million. What I'm telling you
What
is,
do you
yes,
think
I
he's
believe
made,
there's
Joe?
a world. There's
Joe
Shohei Ohtani.
researches this shit nonstop. Like, what would you say
He's going to tell you right now.
he's made in terms of just off the field? What has he made off the field?
Last year they say he made 40 million off the field, I think. So last year 40 million, the year before was like it's 20 million or something. He's made more
less
off the
than
field.
what I had thought.
He's made more off the field than on the field.
Yeah, it's still a fuck ton of money.
Even combining those two figures, though, we're still well short of $1 billion with the 700.
Well, I mean, no, with the
he'll get there eventually,
you're at about,
but
that's what I'm saying. You're at about 100. You're at about almost $800 million with his.
Let's not just
baseball
throw $200
earnings.
million, like just 200 million change. Like take a penny, give a penny.
Right. Like $200 million is an easy gap to eclipse.
Well, dude, if he's making $20 million with the fucking Angels, and now he's going to that was the whole crux of my argument was
no.
20
you're
million.
Right. He'll get there within like a decade overall.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
8 years.
Yes.
Something like
yes.
that.
Yes. Yeah. For sure. Because like I said, if he was making 20 a pop over a decade, that's right at $200 million.
Yep.
Except he made 40 fucking million last year. So he's making way more than 20. Funniest thing is how fucking the Angels just got the greatest contract of all time with Shohei ever.
Pretty much.
You know that they paid the Nippon Ham Fighters more money than they paid Shohei for the first 4 years of his career. The
think
posting
about what
fee.
they got in return on him as well.
Yeah. Crazy. 0 playoff appearances though.
And that's why if they could have turned it into just one, Joe, one. That number.
Well, they were really close after they went all in at the deadline this year.
That number would have been significantly higher.
This tweet just popped up on my phone, and this individual says, "I'm super stoked to announce my new journey with the Red Sox. I'll be working as a Korean language translator, and will also be working closely with player development department." Who the fuck do we have on the team that's Korean?
I have to be honest with you. If those are the types of tweets, Red Sox news that we're now reading on this podcast, we have reached a completely new low.
I'm just curious, like, who is Korean that needs a translator on the team? I don't know who's Korean, Jake.
Can't think of anyone on top of my head.
Maybe there's gonna be a new one.
Yeah, I mean,
or maybe they're just being progressive and ahead of getting ahead of things, and
Just
we'd
in
like to
case.
have Korean players in the future, or we want to do a deal with Korean TV, yada, put more money in Henry's pockets that don't go to the team, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
We're not going to get Yamamoto, but we're going to get a French translator. I can tell you that.
You guys are going to be the number one team in France.
Yeah, that's how we.
That's the next
how we go
frontier.
global. Yeah, we're going to have a French broadcast team. And, we'll start bringing in those big time national or international marketing dollars.
It's Rob Refsnyder, who's Korean, by the way.
Oh,
I don't think he needs a translator.
Perfect English. Yep.
No, Jung-Hoo Lee, dude. He's the Korean Ichiro. He's a free agent. He's could be coming to the Sox.
Yeah, Rob Refsnyder could not speak more clear English. Anyways, I think it's about that time. Could be that time. I don't know. Maybe it's time to go back to 1952. Jayhay!
What up, baby? Yeah, a simpler time in America.
Yeah. Coming off of World War II.
Yeah.
Things are just quieter, like Oppenheimer was cooking.
Everything was in black and white.
He was like, listen, we developed the atomic bomb, so everyone needs to just chill out. The world needs to chill out. No more war. It is peacetime, and we have baseball. All of our veterans in Major League Baseball have come home to win their MVPs after serving overseas for 3 to 4 years, some of these guys. And then we have 1952, which is one of the most highly contested MVP races that we've seen in the 1950s for sure.
for sure. I do just want to shout out the Korean War, though, which was ongoing at this time.
Okay, so that's I guess the atomic bomb didn't work as well.
I just don't want to. Just proper respect.
Sure.
All right, so let's start in the AL. Bobby Shantz, not a household name. We'll start there, right? So a lot of people listening to this podcast are going to react with who, which is fair. He is not a Hall of Famer. He was not a guy who ended up being in the MVP conversation most seasons, but that doesn't mean that he wasn't deserving this season. He was. That's the conclusion that we reach after you research this, is that Bobby Shantz was the deserving AL MVP in 1952. He went 24-7, led the AL in wins. He also led the AL in WHIP, walk rate, and strikeout to walk rate. Just a funny aside, his league leading K to walk was 2.41, which of the 44 qualified starting pitchers last season would have ranked 39th. So just a completely different ballgame than it was back then. But nevertheless, he led it. Yeah. So just a little context on how out of context this season was in Bobby Shantz's overall career. He played 16 seasons. This season, which was 9.4 wins above replacement, was 27% of his career wins above replacement. So he did way more damage this season than he did in any other season. In fact, he never even hit more than 3.1 wins above replacement in any other season. He won the MVP this year. His only other finishes, even in the MVP at all, were 21st in 51 and 26th in 1957. He did, however, some fun facts. Since we've established that Bobby Shantz was the deserving MVP, but that he was really not a guy who was in the MVP conversation ever again. Some fun facts about him. He, at one point, won 8 straight Gold Gloves. So he was considered an excellent fielder at his time. He was a short little guy. He was 5'6".
That is short, dude.
That is short. He was a great fielding short man at 5'6". He has the distinction. I did not know this prior to researching Bobby Shantz, but he had the distinction of being drafted in consecutive expansion drafts. He was drafted by the Senators in 1960, and he was drafted by the Colt 45s. Talk about a different era in 1961. So that's kind of fun. More trivia than anything, but when he retired, he topped out at 2.3% of the Hall of Fame vote. So again, not that type of player. But in 1964, he was part of the infamous trade from the Cubs side, or famous trade from the Cardinals side, that sent Lou Brock to the Cardinals and kind of put him on his path to be the Hall of Famer with the Cardinals. He was kind of a throw-in because 1964 ended up being Bobby Shantz's last season. Some league context. The best AL batter this year was Larry Doby. He did not get real consideration for the MVP. In fact, he finished 12th. And this was Mickey Mantle's second season. So Mickey Mantle finished 3rd in the MVP voting, but he had not fully come into his own as the Mickey Mantle yet. He had only 23 homers, although he led the AL with a 924 OPS. It just wasn't one of his signature seasons. As an aside, Mickey Mantle also led the AL with 111 strikeouts. So 111 strikeouts, led the league back in 1952. Talk about a different game. One final note. He's still alive.
Oh!
Bobby Shantz is still alive. He is 98.
Bobby Shantz.
He is 98 years old. And he, according to the New York Times, he is the last living player managed by Connie Mack.
Wow.
And
that is quite the distinction.
Yeah, he's either the second or third oldest living player overall, I believe, but the oldest living player managed by Connie Mack, which is kind of a cool throwback to a completely different time. So that was Bobby Shantz, deserving winner of the AL MVP. Oh, and one final note: this is in both the AL and the NL. Yeah. Between the two leagues, 75 people received an MVP vote of some sort. 35 in the AL and 40 in the NL that we're about to get to. It was, And some of these people were like they got like literally 1% of the share or something like that. But there were a lot of people who got like down ballot MVP consideration, kind of a weird era of voting. But that's the AL MVP. Bobby Shantz of the Philadelphia Athletics.
Wow.
All right. Now to get to an ugly one.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, the NL. Not good. Not good. I didn't come on here to disrespect the legacy or memory of Hank Sauer, but that's what it's going to come off as. Okay. Because this was one of the worst MVPs of its era. As I said,
Rob,
40 people received some level of MVP consideration. It was a weird year where Sauer received 8 first place votes. A guy named Joe Black with the Brooklyn Dodgers received 8 first place votes, and Robin Roberts of the Phillies received 7 first place votes. So there was a lack of consensus at the top. And unfortunately, that lack of consensus led to the wrong person winning. He was 9th among players who received a vote in WAR at 5.6. What he did do was lead the league in homers and RBI. 37 homers, 121 RBI. He did not lead the league in slugging or OPS or anything like that. It just homers and RBI for a 77-77 Cubs team that finished 5th in the NL and 19 and a half games behind the Dodgers. It's also kind of weird that he won because this was an era that tended to reward players on the pennant winner. In fact, 1952 was the first season since 1938, so a gap of 13 seasons, that both MVPs came from teams that did not win the pennant. So an odd year in the voting in that regard. The deserving candidates, Robin Roberts of the Phillies, Stan Musial of the Cardinals, and Jackie Robinson of the Brooklyn Dodgers, who, with, I guess, the benefit of hindsight, is probably the guy who should have gotten more support than he had. He got 9% of the vote and 31 points overall. That was nowhere near, what was that? Jackie finished 7th overall. He led the league with a 440 on base percentage. Stan Musial, who Dallas talked about, led the league in hits, runs, batting average, OPS, and led the NL in slugging percentage.
Didn't Jackie have the second highest WAR that season?
Yes, he did. So Robin Roberts was first, and Jackie Robinson was second at 8.4. I mean, Jackie had been in the league, obviously, for a few seasons at this point. He was something of a known commodity. The Dodgers finished first in the NL. Little weird that he didn't win. I mean, Jackie Robinson won an MVP in 1949, so it's not like he hadn't done it before. I guess if I'm trying to find a reason why he didn't win the MVP, it would be that he hit only 308, which was the lowest over this, kind of MVP consideration stretch that Jackie Robinson put together, even though he had a 440 on base percentage, which was the highest single season mark of his career. But the other guy that we do need to talk about, Robin Roberts, because Robin Roberts was the guy who probably should have won. And in doing
Robin Roberts, Jayhay.
So in doing research
I'm
for
going
this,
Stan Musial.
All right. So in doing research for this, I came across an article that had quotes from the newspapers at the time, and I'm just going to read some of these because I think it speaks to the attitude of the time. This is from Oscar Fraley, who is a sports center for the United Press International. I don't condone his sentiment. I just think the context is important. Anybody who knows the difference between a bunt and a punt must be completely flabbergasted at the selection of Hank Sauer in the National League. Most of the voters obviously never heard of Robin Roberts. One theory is that they were all on vacation and the ballot was filled in by the editor of the women's page. Hank Sauer himself in the Philadelphia Inquirer on November 20th, 1952. Yes, I'm surprised, but I can tell you I'm sure tickled pink. I thought maybe the other guy, Roberts, would win it, Sauer said. So there's confusion all over the place here as to why Hank won, other than the Cubs were kind of a hapless organization at the time and a 500 finish was actually something of a bright spot. And he obviously was the middle of the order bat there. He was also known as the mayor of Wrigley Field at the time. He hit a game-winning home run in the All-Star game, which I didn't find any direct link between that achievement and him winning the MVP, but it felt like the sort of thing that was mentioned and was way more important back then than it would have been now.
That helps.
Absolutely, it does. The romance
I think it does.
That, like,
I think it kind of does a little bit. So that's the case for against Hank Sauer. For Robin Roberts, though, and then I'll let Dallas talk about Musial if he wants, because obviously he was a worthy candidate many, many times. Robin Roberts had a stretch from 1950 to 1956. He made the All-Star team every single year on that stretch, where he averaged 319 innings pitched per season and a 3.13 ERA. He led the league in innings pitched in 1951 with 315, 1952 with 330, 1953 at 346 and 2/3, 1954 at 336 and 2/3, and 1955 at 305. In other words, he had 6 straight seasons of 300 plus innings pitched in the early mid 1950s. In 1952 specifically, he led baseball in wins with 28, games started 37, complete games 30, innings pitched 332, batters faced, lowest walk rate and best strikeout to walk rate. So if you can think of a guy who and a 2.59 ERA. So he wasn't always a low ERA guy, Robin Roberts, but he was at his absolute peak. And this, you could argue, was his best season, and he probably should have won the MVP as a pitcher. That wasn't happening very often at this time, though. Dallas, go ahead.
No. Did he punch out? Did he ever get to 200 punch outs?
No, his career high for punch outs was 198 in his 346 and 2/3 innings pitched season.
That's so crazy. Like, cause my brain works in a way where I see those numbers and I see a type of game unfold. Like, I see how he's pitching and I see what's happening behind him. And that's exciting. For me, that's exciting baseball because there's action. There's things happening. And it's not just pure domination in terms of swing and miss, which we really value today because we also understand what's waiting for you 60 feet, 6 inches away. That's a guy trying to hit it 1,000 fucking feet. And it's just a different era. So that's why I always, when I see the 330 innings and I see that, and I see the 148 punch outs, I'm like, you know what? Like, this is the craft at work. This is artistry on display. Just a different type of approach to the game and the way it's played on the mound and at the plate.
And, you know, it's not a 1-for-1 comparison. And I did not see Robin Roberts pitch, obviously, so I can only speak to it so much. But there's a lot in the statistical profile. There's a lot of Mark Burley going on here, where obviously Robin Roberts was a righty, Burley was a lefty. But other than that, it's a lot of, to Dallas's point, a lot of innings, a lot of hits allowed, admittedly, some years, a lot of runs allowed, and a lot of homers. Like, Robin Roberts led the league in home runs allowed 4 straight times at one point in his career.
Well, in this MVP season, Jayhay, he gives up the most hits allowed in the entire league, right?
292 hits. Yep.
And he walked just 45. 330 innings, gave up the most hits in the league, and had a whip just north of 1.021, surrendering 45 walks, 292 hits, and the 148 strikeouts.
And for whatever it's worth, final point, he was viewed regularly as an MVP candidate. Like, he got MVP votes in 7 straight seasons from 50 to 56. So this wasn't like an anomalous, like, Robin Roberts MVP. Like, he never won. And I'm looking at it. It looks like he topped out at a second place finish the year in 1952. This year, never again finished higher than 5th. But he was regularly considered on the ballot, and really, you could go Stan, you could go Jackie, you could go Robin Roberts. One of them should have won the MVP over the guy who did this year.
And for me, it was going to be Stan Musial, just quickly, because we'll talk about, you said the MVP run for old boy here. Well, Stan Musial, 16 straight seasons of MVP votes from 1942 all the way up until 1958. You can cross off 1945 because he was killing Nazis, and that the man, his season in 1952, scored more runs than anybody, had more hits than anybody, hit more doubles than anybody, led the league in average, slugging percentage, OPS, total bases. He was the dude, the man, if you will. So while I would have gone Stan, I got a soft spot in my fucking 330 innings, but I like that.
And just to the standpoint, like if you're looking for maybe a retroactive reason why he didn't win, he hit only 21 homers and had only 91 RBI, and his OPS was like 50 to 100 points lower than it had been before and after that season. So while he did lead the league and it was a depressed offensive environment overall, his counting stats and rate stats were not quite what they were at other elite Stan seasons. So, that's the 52 MVP.
Wow. Are you ready for your next assignment, Jayhay?
I am.
Okay. The world is ready. The next year, the Jayhay will be diving deep into an MVP discussion. Did they get it right? Did they get it wrong? That year, Justin Havens, is 1978. That's a good year. That was the Bucky Dent year. No, that was the no. Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
What, to win the MVP?
No, that was the one game playoff was 78.
Oh.
So this will be interesting because we have one that'll be near and dear to the Bostonians' heart with Jim Rice winning the MVP in 1978 in the AL. We'll see whether that holds up. He
led the league in total bases. I know that.
Lot of black italics for Jim Rice in that season. So we'll see whether that is what should have been. And then in the NL, it's Dave Parker of the of Dallas's Pittsburgh Pirates.
I was gonna say Dave Parker, but it wasn't Parker.
Nope, it is. And we'll see how that holds up. But either way, this is going to be a fun one because I actually think Parker in particular, because Rice is in the Hall of Fame, but I think both of these guys kind of get overshadowed as, 70s, early 80s era greats that we don't talk about enough. So it'll be fun to talk Dave Parker and Jim Rice on next week's pod.
I wonder if we could get Jim Rice to call in. I don't know. He may. He doesn't like doing media, but for whatever reason, we get along great. So maybe I'll ask Jim Rice.
Yeah, you should let me know. I'll make sure to craft my narrative accordingly if Jim Rice is going to be right here on the Zoom, or right here on the call. Yeah.
I'll see if I can finagle that. He may be golfing.
It's going to be the most deserving MVP in the history of the segment. I can tell you that much right now.
Yeah. Jim Rice. I know it was like over 400 total bases.
He had a monster offensive year.
Yeah. Joseph's new YouTube video about prime time. I finally got the chance to watch it. Did you include about how he cut his sleeves and then like Major League Baseball was going to fine the Reds like $5,000 a game? And then the whole team decided to cut their sleeves. Yeah. Did you know about that?
That wasn't in the video. I put a TikTok about it.
Oh, okay.
It's maybe where you saw it. Maybe. But did happen. Yeah. He was trying to be honoring Jackie Robinson by cutting his sleeves a little high, which didn't make sense to me really because I didn't really know Jackie Robinson did that. But either way, it was in honor of Mr. Robinson. MLB was trying to say, sorry, bro, we have rules. You have to have the same length sleeve as your team. And they said, no, we're going to go with Dion. So they changed the sleeves for Dion, the neon Dion.
Yeah. What was the most interesting thing that you discovered about Dion?
They tried to kill himself.
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that. Yeah, he drove his car off a cliff and then was back on the field 2 days later.
That's pretty wild. Yeah, that's a crazy story. Something you wouldn't expect out of prime time himself, but yeah, everyone goes through it.
Yeah, I did not know that. I mean, I guess I don't know what year it was, but whatever year it was,
1997.
97. No social media. No one picked up on it. He just drove off a cliff. didn't have any injuries and was like, you know what, I'm good. Well, he was going through a divorce, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, going through a divorce, drove off a cliff, walked away with nothing, no major injuries, and was back playing for the Cincinnati Reds 2 days later. And like, didn't he have like a big game too?
I don't know about that. I don't know what his numbers were when he came back. I don't think so. I don't think he did well for the rest of that season. You're thinking when he came back, he took like 3 years off after that, came back in 2001 and went off in his first game after like 3 years of not playing baseball, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. I mean, the guy didn't fucking play baseball like ever. He just played baseball. It was like spring training starts, boom. He played like 5 games in college, basically. I mean, more than that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The guy barely had to really try and was still pretty fucking good. And to be in the major leagues and do that, it's pretty insane. I think it's underrated.
Yeah.
How
I think what's even crazier is like how open at first with the Yankees. It was less with the Braves because in the video, Joey mentions how Chipper Jones said that Dion was his favorite Braves teammate. But then with the Yankees, when he's going back and forth between football and everything, you've got guys like when the Yankees are up in the offer for him to stay, and you've got the NFL or the Falcons or whoever the fuck, they're like, come play for us. And you've got baseball players openly being like, fuck this guy, more or less. Like, why the fuck? Like, didn't someone say, like, don't you have to be good to make money in baseball?
Yeah. Someone did say, well, it's crazy. I mean, he was especially back then, these old school guys, this guy was like famous as shit for being a college football player and was in the Yankees like as a rookie, like who barely even played college baseball. And he's getting like treated as a superstar in a lot of ways because he is. That's going to piss some people off. The Yankees were not happy about that. And also, he literally was one of the worst players in Major League Baseball in his first 2 years and was offered like $3 million to play for one season, which would have been like one of the top salaries. So it made no sense in a lot of ways. But to publicly say, screw this guy, my teammate, he's a fucking overrated is insane. The man was a genius. The leverage he had was unbelievable. How much more money he made just from playing baseball in football and vice versa.
And then he got into a big beef. I mean, not to give away the entire video, he got into like this big beef with the Braves general manager. And it was like, yeah, if I had known he was going to go back to play football, I would have left him off the playoff roster. And it's like, dude, he's one of the best players on your team.
It's like, wild.
Statistically had one of the best seasons of anyone on the Braves. And the GM was going to leave him off the playoff roster just because he went back to play football, even though he came back to play baseball.
It's wild how the Braves treated him in that situation. They did not fuck with him playing football. You know what's even wild is that if you watch that game, just the difference between how they cover the sport. Like, I watched the first like 2 innings of the game where he was playing NFL on the same day. He played in Miami, played football, then flew to Pittsburgh to play in a baseball game. And the first 2 innings, they didn't even mention it. They didn't even bring Deion Sanders up. Like he
didn't play in the game too.
He didn't play. They wouldn't let him play. The team kind of benched him. But the fact that if that happened today, they would have the camera on him in the dugout, and he didn't have to play.
Absolutely.
Yeah. If you watch the fucking Chiefs game, they're showing Taylor Swift the whole time. In 1992, it was just kind of an afterthought.
The Braves and the Falcons are the Braves and the Falcons the only team, or how do I say this? Are the Braves and yes, because Brian Jordan and Dion both played for the Braves and for the Falcons. Did they not?
Yeah.
I mean, not at the same time, but that's crazy that 2 players played for both the same NFL teams and the same MLB teams.
Were they on the same team?
I don't know, Joe. I don't know. Look that up.
That they were on.
Because Brian Jordan played for the Cardinals too.
They were on the Falcons together.
They were on the Falcons together, but was Dion playing for the Braves at that time?
Yeah, in 1991. So, but was Jordan on the Braves?
No, Jordan. No. When did he play?
Jordan played on the Braves from 99 to 01 and then again from 05 to 06.
Okay, so they were football teammates, but not baseball teammates.
Could you imagine being football and baseball teammates with the same dude on both teams? Like, bro, you want to talk about alphas? Like, I don't know what y'all do. Like, we're athletes. You're a football player, which is really cool. That's great. That is fucking outstanding. And you're a really good baseball player, man. You guys are great. Me and BJ over here, we're athletes. Some would even call us prime time.
Do you think we'll ever see another two-sport athlete again?
Fuck no. Well,
you know what? Part of me wants to say yes, because you have to be watching what Shohei Ohtani is doing and thinking to yourself, the blueprint's been laid out there before. People have done this before. People have played football and baseball. People have played baseball and basketball. So if I'm watching one dude capitalize and leverage, and granted, you got to be the second coming of fucking Jesus in whatever sport it is you're playing, because that's what Ohtani is. But isn't there a ton of leverage out there just waiting to be wrangled and corralled and used if you can be a two-sport phenom in today's age? In today's marketing age, in the capitalistic society we live in, if you can do two things on the grandest stage serviceably enough to where you are at the highest peak of your sport, bro, you got the world by the fucking balls.
It's happened more times than you'd think. Like, if you look up the amount of players who've done that,
but not
baseball
recently.
and
I feel
football.
like the
well, in like the
sports
80s and
culture is
90s, I think there was like probably about, I want to say like 5 to 10 players who did that.
Yeah, but the game is becoming, both games, whichever
All
sports
games.
you pick, are becoming more specialized in that regard.
Mhm.
And I think it would be, if the question is ever again, I would say yes. I think it is. I don't think we're going to see a new wave of players be two-sport athletes. Like, it's so much, it's harder. Like, every sport is harder. The NBA is harder now. Major League Baseball is harder now. The NFL is harder now. Like, it would just be the threshold to get there and be able to do things, things that well is just hard. It's harder than it was.
I'll say it right now. If Tim Tebow was not a quarterback, but was maybe a tight end and did not play such a demanding skill set position and was also better at baseball than he was, that could have been a very real possibility, right? Tim Tebow could have very well been on somebody's.
Like, if they were better at the sport, then they could do it.
No. What I'm getting at is he was being entertained on a professional level in both of these sports. And
do you remember?
Tim
Do you remember his workout video when he first?
Buddy, I was there. I was at the workout. When I got a call from ESPN. Oh, dude, this is how, Jared. This is how Brody. Remember Brody? Rest in peace.
Yes, rest in peace.
This is how Brody and I teamed up, like hooked up and like met in person. And we were at Tim Tebow's workout, and Dan Herron is also there. And me and Brody, like, I can't take this serious. I just can't, because I'm saying, like, to anybody that's asking me and listening, like, what do you think? And I go, look, I don't need to fucking see what we're about to see right now to tell you that Tim Tebow is not a good baseball player. I don't need to be here for this to tell you that. I have watched him physically move around on a field, so I'm good. I didn't need to be put on a plane to watch him run a 60 for you to tell me that he's fast. I didn't need to see him walk up in a fucking skin-tight workout shirt for you to tell me that he's big and strong and physically fit. I've got that. What I didn't need to see was him turn a circle in right field and then run into a wall and fall on the warning track and drop the ball. I didn't need to see that to tell you that he was a bad outfielder, but I saw that. Yeah. And the entire time this is unfolding, Brody Stevens and I are sitting there like just not laughing at him, laughing at the situation. And we were all talking about like, dude, like, this is like, who's the like the Olympic decathletes in the 80s, Dan O'Brien and was it Dan Jansen or whatever? I don't know. But it was like Dan and Dan. They had these commercials. It was a big deal. And it was like, this dude could be doing it all. He was like, is this Dan and Dan all over again? And it was like, well, it's fucking Tim Tebow, but this dude is in the NFL and he's getting looks at the professional level. There's got to be somebody better than him that's doing something to that level.
I just remember watching his first workout and describing it as like an audition for a movie about baseball, where it's like, yeah, Tebow, like, he looks He looks physically fit. Like he's got like the charming fit. Like he's the heartthrob, but he has to play a baseball player. And it's like, ooh, I don't know. And then he's out there just like watching him as an outfielder try and get down on his left side to field and throw and in one fluid motion. And it's like, this is someone that is you're acting, you're portraying a baseball player. I get the role. It just doesn't look natural.
Everything I said to you, I said to his agent, because his agent asked me like what I was expecting. Myself and fucking Skip Bayless were sitting there on the concourse at UCLA talking about this, and or USC, and his agent comes up and he asked, and I said exactly what I just said. I said, honestly, I didn't need to come here to figure out that Tim is fast, to figure out Tim's leadership capabilities and how strong he is. And the most important aspect of all of that is that the game of baseball really doesn't care about any of that. Game of baseball cares about how well you play the game of baseball.
Yeah.
And so being as far removed as he is from competitive baseball and from rounding his skill set out, I don't know that this is going to end the way he would like it to, but I think it's great that he's put himself in a position to be able to even get the phone call.
Also,
and then,
I just want to note this, because for as awful as Tim looked in his like original workout for MLB teams in 2018 for the AA affiliate, the Binghamton, whatever the fucks, the Rumble Ponies. This is 2018 age 30 season. Tim Tebow, in 298 plate appearances, hit 273 with a 336 on base, a 399 slug, all right, but a 734 OPS in AA. Like, he hit 6 homers, drove in 36 runs, 14 doubles. Like, there are a lot of gentlemen who fancy themselves athletes in other sports who probably think, yeah, you plot me down in minor league baseball. Like, yeah, I could do that. That wouldn't even get a single hit. Like, Tim Tebow hit 273 for as awful as he looked in his audition. Like, those are respectable numbers.
I got to be honest, though. A guy who plays both sports, like a 2 sports, and sucks at both of them, does nothing for me. Like, I need the, like Deion Sanders.
I'd say he sucks at football.
He's a playoff winning quarterback, Jayhay.
Heisman Trophy Award winner, right?
Did he win but that was college. Yeah, but that's college,
football.
Man.
Did he win?
But nobody cared about that. What we're really talking about is
one.
All right.
Hold on. What we are talking about is playing in 2 pro leagues. We're not talking about a guy who plays college football and then goes and plays Major League Baseball.
I mean, Jayhay, let's not act like playing Division I college football for the Florida Gators is like anyone can just walk up.
No. I am, to be clear, I am not saying that. But I'm saying in terms of this conversation, what we are talking about is a guy or girl who makes the professional leagues of 2 sports. That's really what we're talking about here. We're not going to refer to a 2-sport star as a guy who played in college and then plays a different sport in the pros. That's just Kyler Murray.
Jayhay, if I was a Heisman Trophy Award winner, won a national championship as the starting quarterback for the Florida Gators, and then hit almost 300 in AA, my
almost
fucking
300.
nuts
Jesus
would be dragging on the ground.
270.
He has nice OPS.
That's good.
You got to be honest though. Like, if the next year he was bad, but if he was got a little bit better than that the next year, the Mets probably would have called his ass up.
No question.
And it would have been
the year after that.
Yeah,
100% would have.
He was pretty close to making it to the bigs.
He was.
Would have been nice.
He was one good year in 2019 away from making it to the big leagues. Like that year that I highlighted, that was his AA season. The next year he started the year and only played at AAA, and he sucked and then called it a career.
Bo Jackson hit 32 homers and dropped 105 RBI and 26 bombs in 1989. All right, for the Royals. That's the shit I want to see if we're talking about 2-sport athletes. Deion Sanders led the league in triples, had an 800 plus OPS one season. Okay, like Deion's baseball career was a little scattershot, but the man could do some things. He hit 304, 841 OPS, league leading 14 triples in 1992. In 325 plate appearances, he led the league in triples. This is what I'm talking about. And obviously, he was an all-pro caliber football player. That's what I'm talking about. Tim Tebow. You're right, though.
Tim Tebow.
It was like a tryout for a tryout of a movie.
Yeah, I mean, but to go from that to hitting 270 in AA, pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Sure, tip of the cap.
6 home runs. That's more than 0.
And he was still doing College Game Day, if you remember correctly.
And he was still doing College Game Day. Yep, people don't give him credit for that. I mean, there's plenty of people that are in the NFL right now that if you drop them in AA, they would hit 0 home runs. They would get 0. Then you can make the case that they would get 0 hits.
Yeah.
I would get 0 hits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it Dodgers Mount Rushmore time?
I don't know. It's almost dinner time.
Long overdue. Long overdue.
All right. It is the Dodgers Mount Rushmore. I think to Dallas's point earlier, the top 3 spots are a lock. Yeah. Does anyone not have Jackie Robinson? Okay. Does anyone not have Sandy Koufax? Okay. Does anyone not have Clayton Kershaw? Okay. So now we are talking about who is everybody's 4th pick. Dallas, why don't you begin?
Oh, I don't know that I'm gonna reveal it right now.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of context here that has to be, because I struggled, I'll be honest. I struggled with Sandy. And I struggled with Sandy just because there's somebody else in Clayton that represents Dodger greatness on the mound and trying to represent eras as well. Like, oh man. Man. Like, I mean, the guy's in a song, Mickey and the Duke. Duke Snyder is tough to leave off of this list. Duke Snyder is really tough to leave off of a Dodger Mount Rushmore. I also
so are you
struggled.
leaving him off or no?
Well,
you're doing a whole thing right now. I'm sorry. Okay.
Branch Rickey. Branch Rickey was a guy. Branch Rickey was a guy that I mulled over.
That's a good call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, Branch Rickey, you just do the homework on Branch Rickey and you'll see the impact that he's had on the game of baseball specifically, and him being a Hall of Famer makes it a little easier for me to pass on Branch Rickey in this Mount Rushmore because he is acknowledged in the game of baseball for his contributions, which are many. But he brought Jackie Robinson into the mainstream of baseball, and for that, I think he
isn't that redundant though if Jackie's on it.
Well, that's part of why it
You're
makes
gonna put
it even
Jackie
easier.
and the guy that brought in Jackie,
right? It makes it even easier because while Branch Rickey may have rolled the pole for a brief moment in time, it was all about Jackie and what he was doing.
How have you not said Vince Scully yet?
It's because I also wanted to highlight what Fernando Valenzuela has meant to this franchise and meant to the city during Fernando Mania, right? You talk about Tim Lincecum and his burst of stardom and what that could mean to his Hall of Fame candidacy, blah, 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 whether or not. Fernando Valenzuela, very similar in that regard. Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, World Series, like just took the game and the world by storm. Don Drysdale, another guy. All of these guys, though, had their summers painted by the voice of one man and one man only. And Jayhay, you can shake your head all you want. When you think about what time it is and when it is time for Dodger baseball, it's Vince Scully who you went to bed with summer after summer after summer in Brooklyn and in Los Angeles. No Dodger Mount Rushmore is final without Vince Scully.
Good pick.
Just for Dodger baseball.
It's a good pick. It could be the most correct pick. I don't know. Jayhay, you shook your head.
It's not like wrong, because I think we were texting about it ahead of time where it's very clear cut on who the three are. And like, I just don't think there should be any struggle with any of those three. And then to Dallas's point, he named some of them, but like there are 15 candidates for the other four spots, including a broadcaster, Vin Scully, including two managers. There's a lot going on here. And it's like, for as great of a franchise as the Dodgers are and have been around for as long as they've been, like, you know, Don Drysdale being a player candidate for your, like, it's not the Giants, like that we talked about last week, right? Where you're leaving off a Willie McCovey or a Juan Marichal. Like, it's not quite that. But the guy, I'm not going to.
The school of drop and drive, Donnie Drysdale, come on.
Vin Scully being on the Rushmore is fine. He obviously represents generations worth of Dodgers fans in a way that no player really possibly can, across generations. I mean,
he called games for everybody on this fucking list.
Yep.
But everybody on the list he called games for.
I'm going to use my spot to put a guy who I think is extremely deserving on merit, whose career could have been even greater and remembered in a completely different way. I think in modern times, if the beginning and ends of his career had gone differently for him for totally different reasons, it's Roy Campanella. We are literally talking about a 3-time MVP. And I just feel like, for as impactful as you are in the broadcast booth, the idea, Bob Uecker's in the Brewers Rushmore because they lacked 3-time MVPs that were available for selection. That's kind of my stance. He's considered one of the greatest catchers of all time. His raw counting stats would be much more impressive in the history of baseball if the beginning of his career had not been prevented by segregation, and if the end of his career had not been ruined by a car accident that left him basically paralyzed. But we're talking about a guy who, when he was able to play Major League Baseball, and he did not get to debut until he was in his age 26 season, but from age 27 through age 34, he was an all-star every single year. As I said, he won 3 MVPs, including a year where he had 41 homers and 142 RBI and a 1.006 OPS as a catcher, and every all-time list includes Roy Campanella as maybe the second or third option on any all-catcher list. Johnny Bench is obviously getting the top spot there, and then Yogi Berra perhaps, but Roy Campanella is an all-time legend, and for me, the 3-time MVPs and a World Series winner, a batting title, 11 All-Stars, Hall of Fame. Put him in.
It's a good pick. Joseph.
I got to go Vin Scully because, man, he's just the GOAT, bro. If you think about it, he was calling Dodgers games before you were born, bro. When did he start doing it? Like he did 40s? It when my dad was a kid, and then when I was a kid at the same time. That doesn't even add up. It was like 70 years.
It literally was 70 years.
So 70 years. And we like to represent all the different eras. This guy represents all the different
1949
eras.
to 2016.
1949.
I mean, is there another franchise that has somebody like Vin Scully as associated with the franchise as he is?
Yes and no. Like it's like Bob Shepard with like being like the PA guy at Yankee Stadium is probably the closest thing.
Yeah,
I'll say this: players from a player perspective, that Bob Shepard comment, there's some truth to that, because that's something that the old guys, when you're a young player and you come into Yankee Stadium, they talk about that. You know, hearing how the names are going to be announced and all that. That's fucking awesome, dude.
So can I be a player hater on the Vin Scully thing for a second?
Yeah,
you are. Please.
No. Well, somebody's got to, right? Because I think Jared's going there too, so that's fine.
You don't know where the fuck
I don't know. I said I think. There are 2 other people who have literally had 60 plus year span runs with the Dodgers, like uninterrupted with the Dodgers and only the Dodgers. And one of those guys is also a fucking broadcaster in Jaime Jarrín, who we should be shouting out right now because I believe his run is at 64 seasons. So I don't know if that takes away from what Vin Scully belongs on a Mount Rushmore. If you can literally peek around the glass there and say hi to another guy who's been there for 60 years. But I wanted to throw that out there and say, what up, Jaime? And then Tommy Lasorda.
Yeah.
I believe his run was just as, if not longer than Vin Scully's. And
two-time World Series. Yeah, he never pitched for the Dodgers, did he?
He was in the minor leagues, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did pitch he pitched for the A's his last season.
Yeah, so he was with the Brooklyn Dodgers from 54 to 55, pitched for the A's in 56, and then basically, I believe, immediately went back into the Dodgers organization.
Yes.
Yeah, and then became a 2-time manager of the year, a Hall of Fame manager, and a World Series winning manager. So I'm not putting either of those guys on my Rushmore. As I said, Campanella's mine. But to me, this idea that Vin Scully singularly represents 6 decades of Dodger baseball, to me, we can chip away at that a little bit by the fact that there's a guy who represents it from the Spanish language side in a lot of ways in Jarrín, and Tommy Lasorda, who does a lot of the same things that we're talking about in terms of ambassadorship. So I rest my case. Thank you.
You're welcome. My last pick for the Dodgers Mount Rushmore is a name that hasn't been said yet. Any guesses?
Ooh, this is fun.
We haven't mentioned this individual yet.
Are you gonna go with the Bulldog?
With Oral? No, it's I'm not even going to expend
Shohei Ohtani.
Any mental energy on this.
Shohei Ohtani, without even playing a game, the fact that the most lucrative contract in professional sports history was given to arguably the greatest baseball player who ever lived by the Dodgers, who will have played more seasons with the Dodgers than any other team in his illustrious big league career. I don't care who occupies that 4th spot. If we did this segment last week, and I more than likely would have went Vin Scully there, doesn't matter who has that 4th spot. They get bumped for Shohei Ohtani. It's a preemptive Mount Rushmore spot, but at this point, I don't even think it matters. Just the fact that he got 10 years, $700 million to be a Dodger, like that will always hold a place of significance in Dodger history, baseball history, professional sports history. Shohei Ohtani.
Kind of makes Vin Scully look like an asshole, doesn't he, for trotting around that stadium for 70 years and making what, a couple mil?
Yeah, maybe.
Unfortunately, Vin Scully would still stay on the Rushmore. They'd have to kick one of the other guys off.
You think so?
Because Vin Scully is considered one of the GOATs. But all these guys, like, no one would say any of these players the greatest baseball player of all time, except maybe Shohei. But a lot of people would say Vin Scully, best broadcaster of all time. So you got to save room for GOATs. So you put a Shohei for being the best baseball player of all time.
Kershaw, greatest of his era. Koufax, greatest of his era. I mean, you're not taking Jackie Robinson off.
Oh no, I'm putting Shohei back on mine. Can I get 5?
You get an extra rock.
Yeah. So, all right. That was a meaty Monday show. Just stop it halfway through and listen to the rest on Thursday.
That's right. Get your second episode in you. 2 sods.
We've satisfied all complaints.
Yeah. Speaking of satisfying complaints, I did want to address one thing before we get out of here. I'll just use this as my final thought. There was a Reddit thread that popped up while we were recording. The title says Carabas is pretty hypocritical, and the body says, How is he going to celebrate Mel Ott on the Giants Mount Rushmore, but also put down Scrappy McDickfuck's accomplishments in the game, which is very, I understand. That's a very, it's a fair point. Commenter says the level of disrespect that the McDickfuck family received is truly unbelievable. I agree. You know what? My apologies to the McDickfuck family. Long line of baseball legends, starting right with Scrappy. Dallas, any final thoughts today?
No. I thought it was going to have something compelling. Nothing really at all.
Okay. Jayhay, final thought?
Shout out to the Victor Gonzalez and Your Beat Vivas for Trey Sweeney trade that opened up the 40-man roster spot for Shohei Ohtani. It was good to see lots of MLB media people learn their lesson from Friday by insistently repeating that they haven't made it official yet. They haven't made it official yet. What's going on here? Okay, cool. It was opening up a 40-man roster spot.
Joseph, any final thoughts?
I'm just going to say good riddance, safe travels. Thanks you to Max Stassi as the former Brave Max Stassi. Fun having you on the team, but we traded him. So sad to see you go. Had to do it.
Okay.
Well, you got Darno.
We got Darno, but we had Stas. It's tough to get rid of you guys. He's a good guy.
Great guy. Jake's takes. I know it's this is probably a rough episode for you with all the how down I was in the idea of Yamamoto coming to the Red Sox, but I'm just speaking facts over here.
Yeah, no, just if Full Throttle is Tyler O'Neill and a Korean translator, I just might not show up next year.
Yeah. If that's the definition of Full Throttle, then I think listen, I'm not opposed to rebranding and calling it the Full Throttle Podcast. I think that's a great name. I'm sure it already exists. But so you can just call it like the Full Throttle Baseball Podcast. Then no one can sue us. All right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We're very close to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube, so be sure to hit subscribe on YouTube. Tell your friends about Baseball is Dead. To our friends in Canada, thank you for tuning in. If you've made it this far after our Johnny G and Jordan were on the podcast today, thanks to them. Thanks to Eric Hubbs for being here. And we'll be back on Monday.
We gone.